Mr. Lowry. We should be live. I just got a notification. Well, actually, it's a notification from some other show that I got. But anyway, so let's do our normal thing. Let's make sure we're actually live, and hopefully people can hear us. There's my Facebook notice. I have audio on my phone. So
I can hear you talking.
Yeah, we should be good to go. We've already got half a dozen people watching. The number's climbing up a little bit. So, as usual, we've got some stuff to talk about tonight. Not a whole lot of stuff. You know, I don't think we're going to, of course, if I say this, I'll jinx us, but I don't think we're going to get into a marathon show tonight. But we got a few things we need to
It'll be a fun show. We're going to take a walk down memory lane, and we're going to, a lot of folks don't remember that we are cohorts.
Yes, cohorts. Cockroaches and cohorts.
But wait a minute. There's another one. Oh, remember? Contrarians.
That's right. We've been called all sorts of things, and I'm sure much nastier things than that.
Being from Halton, I don't take offense to that. I mean, I've been called a lot worse.
And so for those of you just now joining us, we're fixing to do our countdown here in a second, and that allows us to share the show out, allows y'all to grab some popcorn, a stiff drink, whatever you need. And we're going to dive into the topics, and we're going to ask our viewers to help us in deciding the COTY, the Cockroach of the Year.
Yeah, you and I had a long debate about this, and we were like, man, there's so many contenders here. You know, are they a good cockroach? Are they a bad cockroach? And we just couldn't get there with an answer to it. And I guess we decided we're going to throw it out there and see if we can get some help from folks, right?
Yes, we did. All right, so let's go ahead and do our 2.5 minute countdown. Folks, we're going to run this countdown, and again, tag some friends, text some friends, help us share this out. We're going to be sharing it out. Hello, Patricia, Cliff, Marie Arnold, and hello, good evening, Ashley Lee Bullock. Okay, here we go. Countdown. We'll be back here in about 2 to 3 minutes.
Just, they feel helpless, they don't feel heard, they have nowhere to turn.
In all honesty, we try to lay low a little bit because of the fear that we would not be able to camp there.
And I titled it A Shot Across the Bow of the Good Old Boys.
Hello everybody, I don't think I've ever done a video before on here, but I wanted to tell y'all what frustrates me a little bit about permits.
Cockroach of the Week is... drum roll, please, Allie Feaster Smith.
We can't be apathetic about what's going on in our state. We have to all pull up our bootstraps and get on top of this. So you're right. There's a problem out there. I mean, and man, you can see it everywhere.
Well, look, we have allowed government to become our wherewithal to everything.
Well, I've not heard my name in stable or Baton Rouge in stable in the same sentence in a long time.
You're about to be killed by a Zamboni, or you're gonna die in 5 minutes.
This Bossier Watch live broadcast is brought to you by Eagle Truck Center, soaring to new heights. The outdoor news, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 23 years in the mortgage business. Smarter Geek, making technology easier. And the many supporters, donations, and folks sharing information and watching out for Bossier. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go. Well, what'd you think of that intro, Mr. Duke Lowry?
I like it. Somebody been doing a little work today.
Yeah, I had a little bit of a creative spurt for a few minutes and thought I'd turn my attention to the old Bossier Watch intro.
It's amazing what you can throw together. You know, Eagle Truck Center. Why do I know that name?
Well, that would be our good friend David Johnson, who comments frequently and shares information and all that, and has helped us out a little bit in the past, and so we wanted to return the favor a little bit and give Eagle Truck Center a little bit of exposure. Now, I want folks to know that anybody that helps us out or sponsors the show, they have zero, and I mean zero, editorial control over what comes out of my mouth or comes out of your mouth, or for that matter, any of our guests. So.
Good gosh, I don't know of anything that can control my mouth.
my parents have been trying to do that since I started talking, and they had never accomplished it. So,
I mean, obviously the courage that Eagle Truck has to let their logo be put up here by our faces and mouths.
Could be.
That's got to tell you, that's got to tell you something about their character.
Yeah, I'm sure the rest of the staff at Eagle Truck is going, "Oh no,
oh God,
we've been associated with those guys."
How do you file those unemployment forms?
But in all seriousness, we've had a few folks donate some coffee money, and that kind of has helped out with some of the expenses, and all that. And so we appreciate everybody that has helped us out. Even if you just watched the show, even if you hadn't donated, even if you just watched the show, or if you brought a friend along, hey, we appreciate all of it.
Yeah, David has been with us from a long way back. In fact, with this show, we're going to kind of take a walk down memory lane of all of the shows throughout the year and the whole thing, everything that has happened. And David had messaged us a comment, and when I was going back through all the shows today, it completely skipped my mind about our affinity for that one word that we use so often. He prompted us.
Are you going to jinx us and say it? Absolutely not.
Absolutely.
All right.
But he shot it right out there, and I'd left it off the notes.
Yeah.
How silly of me.
All right. So we got about 40-something people watching, give or take a few. I know we've got a few people watching over on the YouTube side. As a matter of fact, we got like 65 subscribers on YouTube right now, which, that's a drop in the bucket compared to a lot of YouTubers, but we hadn't really promoted. So, I'm glad to see some folks that have subscribed, and we have people that are watching non-subscribers simply because they don't really want everybody to know that they watch, and that's fine too.
Yeah, hello Ashley Bullock, hello Miss Ann Price, Cliff Smith, hello Tim Mueller, hello Louisiana Fire Dog, glad to see you here. So Rex, what is on the agenda for tonight's show? I mean, people get tired of probably come on guys, jump right to it. We don't have all night.
Well, and so there is a little method to the madness, because we've been online for about 10 minutes now, and this is getting into the prime time when people will actually find the show after it goes live, and they check their notifications and all that. So there is a little method to the madness on this. But with that said, my usual deal, I'm flying in by the seat of my pants here. So we're going to talk about, again, the Cockroach of the Year, and we'll let everybody know what we want y'all to do and help us out with that here in a few minutes. We're going to talk some more about Sportran and a little bit of the history of Sportran, because as you know, that is an ongoing feud between Bossier, Tommy Chandler, the city council, the Sportran people. I don't know. I'm sure you could even throw in some city council.
Whoa. You said Tommy Chandler.
Yes, I did.
I mean, that's like being disrespectful.
Why?
Because you did not use his title.
Of course not. We've talked about this. It's
Well, but
exceedingly rare that I use any of their titles because, and I'm not saying this specifically about Tommy, but let's just say
I'm not talking about Mayor Chandler.
oh,
Not that
see,
title.
I was getting all defensive and about to get on my soapbox.
Had to pull you off the ledge. No,
Yeah.
I'm talking about the titles that we give people, in which, there's some problems, I think, with the titles that we may have bestowed on Mayor Chandler.
Oh, well, one of the first titles, he was one of the official Three Amigos, but we've since retracted that.
I think he's no longer a Three Amigo. I think we can definitely confirm he's out.
Yeah, he's like on the El Guapo side now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we coined him as the Trump of Bossier City. Remember
yes,
that?
We did, minus the hair piece, although Tommy's got a pretty good head of hair, if I remember right. What else? Oh, Tahoe Tommy. I don't think
Tommy.
Yeah, I don't think we coined that one. We just, ran with the ball that was already rolling rolling down the court. Oh, and look, we have a viewer coming in as Salted Pretzel.
That's new.
Yes, she said she normally watches under her main page, Dee Dee White Clark. She's apparently in Facebook jail, so she's coming in as Salted Pretzel. That's awesome.
The things we do to get to Bossier Watch these days.
Yes.
So, unlike the most popular question of the night for everybody watching, in who they think is the cockroach of the year, we got to determine what is the appropriate name for Chandler. Is it Mayor Chandler? Is it the Trump of Bossier City? Is it Tahoe Tommy? But I got to tell you, I got another name that has come to mind here lately.
Uh-oh. Drum roll, please. I don't think I have a drum roll sound cue thing pulled up, but tell us, Duke.
I am thinking that it may be the Brandon of Bossier.
The Brandon of Bossier. Did you hear the phone call? The NORAD phone call with the guy that said to Biden and his wife.
I did not hear that, but I heard about it.
Yeah, so apparently caught a bunch of flack. So Tommy is now the Brandon of Bossier.
I think you've got to class him as the Brandon of Bossier. I mean, because you can't make the foul ups that are being made right now without, look, you can't be called the Trump of Bossier anymore. Tahoe Tommy doesn't fit.
Well, that's true, but look. All right, so we'll play good cop, bad cop for a minute. And interestingly, I'm going to play the good cop, which is unusual for me. So I'm going to give Tommy some credit. He has kept us entertained and given you and I plenty to talk about at taxpayer expense, obviously, in some of this, but given us plenty to talk about over the last several months. And he's been cleaning up trash in Bossier City.
Now, I think I even, supported that argument by talking about how clean Benton Road was, but one viewer pointed out that it wasn't Tommy, it was somebody else within city government that deserved credit for that. But I would point out that I think King David would take issue with the point you make about who gives the best entertainment. I don't know.
It's like the city council meetings are auditions.
You're a good cop. You got to stay on the Chandler side. But David Montgomery, I'm defending his case. I think he makes the best case for the best entertainer in Bossier City.
It's hard to argue with that, but I want to point out a great comment Miss Ann made. I mentioned that Tommy was, helping pick up trash, and Miss Ann promptly said, the wrong trash. I caught that, Miss Ann. Good one. All right. I just put a hashtag up. Let's go, Tommy. I'm not really very good at hashtags, but maybe we could do that one.
I think that works. That may get his attention. I think in this show we'll cover several things that, Tommy had some good. It seemed like really in the beginning,
yeah,
he did a lot of good. And then for whatever reason, things changed, and he got off sideways, and I don't know that he's completely got back on track since.
Yeah, I don't know either. Now, granted, he's got a few years. Maybe he can turn things around, but that remains to be seen. All right, so we're also going to talk about whistleblowing a little bit, and we're going to bring up some information on that as far as the legal side from the state of Louisiana. Full disclosure, we only play lawyers on Facebook, but we're going to kind of give a little bit of a summary version of that. Because, we have a lot of information shared to us, and, we always promote sending it to the Proton Mail account. And we suggest that everybody, if you've got some information you want to share, make your own free, completely anonymous Proton Mail account. Don't put any identifying information in it. Send an email to BozierWatch@ProtonMail.com, and we will take a look at that. But just be aware that there are laws for whistleblowing, and interestingly enough, in the state of Louisiana, there are kind of a few little caveats to that. And then we're also going to talk about this charter commission thing. And we had brought that up several months ago, and we kind of touched on it maybe once or twice since then, but not much. So we wanted to remind everybody about that.
Yeah, and today I took occasion to drive over across Shed Road, while I still could, so that it didn't cost us 8 digits,
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, so we'll just call that the 8-digit crossing. I crossed over the 8-digit crossing and snapped a couple of pictures of the activity that's going on the Walter O. Bigby carriageway that nobody can tell you why they couldn't stop and redo things so that they didn't have to close the 8-digit crossing,
Well, you'd think they'd be nearly finished with it in the hurry that they were in to close Shed Road just a couple of months ago.
Yeah, my gosh. Anyway, and the highlights of 2021.
Oh, really? Do we have a list ready? Let me scroll down.
I did. I was busy making some notes. It's real easy for you, Rex.
Oh, wow. Yeah, okay.
All we got to do is, and I went through every one of the videos. I marked the time slots, which that may be a pain in the butt jumping from video to video, but we've even got Zamboni and Zamboni Part 2 redo.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting, trying to go through all those. Maybe we'll just walk through them and suggest people look at them.
We don't have to go through all of them. We can read them out.
You know what I think I'll try to do, though, is before New Year's Eve, I will go through there and put those clips together and string them together, and we'll have it auto-published as kind of a year in review special edition.
That sounds like a winner.
Yeah.
Now, let's go to this Sportran thing and catch me up, because you've done a deep dive into this.
Yeah, probably deeper than I really want to. So basically, I just wanted to share out a little bit of the information because there's been a ton of questions. Apparently, we are angering and enraging people. Did you know that, Duke?
Well, I got to tell you, sometimes your commentary does enrage me, and it just puts me off my rocker. What can I say?
Well, I'll just wear that with a badge.
No, us enrage somebody? No,
yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, so what we do, as a matter of fact, let me give me just a second. I'm going to pull up this screenshot. Let me get our screen ready. So, this is actually a screenshot out of the Friends of South Bossier group. And so there was a debate going on last week, and this was going on late into the night, and I don't know, I was feeling a little frisky and, just kind of tweaking a few things here and there in the commentary. And Lori Taylor Jenkins, she was going back and forth. But did you know that she says, and I have it highlighted right there, that I posted the information about the financials, how much the city of Bossier spends with Sportran every year. We shared that out on Bossier Watch, and then I shared it into the Friends of South Bossier group. Anyway, she said, you posted this with intent to anger the citizens by making a joke about someone claiming Bossier did not pay $1 million for Sportran when your chart clearly shows it was pretty darn close to it. Now, in my defense, it's not my chart, and in our defense, Bossier Watch's defense, not our chart, that's the city of Bossier, and I did put my little typical emojis and arrows and little lines on and all that. And so I told her that. And I said, you know, if the fact is that the math and the dollars and all that being shown piss people off, then so be it. At least folks are enraged and informed. So, you know, we've said this a million times. This show is not for you to come see who won the, you know, Bossier Beautiful Yard contest or whatever. This show is where we get on our soapbox and we talk about things going on that have a tie-in politically to Bossier and the surrounding, you know, Bossier Parish area. And sometimes we do things because, well, we're pissed off, and so we want everybody else to be pissed off too.
Well, I do recall, and I have forgotten, but it's been a little while, but I do recall somebody saying that all we were pot stirrers in the past. That wasn't too long ago.
Stirring the pot.
Stirring the pot.
Now we have to get us a stirring the pot graphic to go in here. Yeah, and look, I wanted to make sure and let her know, I didn't highlight it, but you can see in my little bottom response down there and I wanted to make sure that everybody knew in that deal I used the shocked emoji, not the angry emoji. So I was actually trying to shock people with these numbers. And I told her I was going to address it in Tuesday night's show, and here we are.
Well, hopefully she's watching. And look, you know, our intent is to inform folks. And, you know, just like Rex said, we have our opinions as well. We live here. This is our home. And we care about it as well, too. I mean, we do not make a living doing this. I mean, in fact, it costs us to have to watch our back all the time and dodge bullets, per se.
Yeah, it does. But you're right. You know, again, we do this to keep everybody informed. And, you know, look, we got a good quote right here. The quotes are scrolling by pretty quick. Salted Pretzel said, "It's better to stir the pot and have great soup than let the taste get stale." That's a great quote.
What a sage that is. Did you see Tim Mueller's message there?
Let's see. This show, where is Tim? Hold on a second. Yeah, let me get Tim's quote out here.
That was a good one, Tim.
This show isn't about passing out trophies. Why can't you all just allow everyone to win? Second place is the first place loser.
Yeah. So, Sportran. What is Sportran, Rex?
Yeah, moving right along from stirring the pot, angering and pissing people off to what is Sportran.
And a lot of people are like, why the heck do I care about Sportran? Why?
Well, let me tell you why you should care about Sportran, and I don't think I've got this graphic up right now, but the city of Bossier does spend nearly $1 million a year with Sportran, and that doesn't include what the riders pay for their fares. And if they go ahead and do add this additional route in South Bossier, which honestly, I'm not really for or against it one way or the other, except for the fact that apparently City of Bossier is going to pay Sportran more money, which means you're paying for transportation for people. You're subsidizing it with your tax dollars. Now, some people are for that, and that's fine. Some people are against it. I would say right now, based on the commentary I've seen on social media and Facebook, it's probably about 50-50. All right, but Sportran is a public transit system that's owned and operated by the city of Shreveport since 1972. The research that I did, the original transportation company, I'm not sure what it was called before Sportran, was losing money. It had actually been in place for decades, but was losing money. The city of Shreveport came in. Apparently, I guess they purchased the company, maybe purchased the assets or whatever. A year or two later, renamed it Sportran, and you have city-subsidized bus service. The actual company is Shreveport Transit Management, Inc. It's a private company that is contracted by the city of Shreveport to operate the public transit service for the area. So, well, that's what Sportran is.
I thought, and I may be jumping ahead, I thought Shreveport or Sportran was federally subsidized. Is that not accurate or inaccurate?
Well, no, that's actually very accurate. And you mentioned the word subsidy as well. So let's just show something that I actually agree with Adrian Perkins on, of all things. This is a Shreveport Times article from a year or two ago. It was talking about the CARES Act. And Sportran received $11.3 million through the CARES Act, along with, or according to Adrian, the funds help alleviate some of the general funds subsidy to Sportran, which helps the city of Shreveport navigate this financial crisis. This was when, COVID was really kicking off. So not only does the city of Shreveport spend a lot of money subsidizing Sportran, and we don't have those numbers yet, but we'll get them. They did receive money through the CARES Act, like a lot of other businesses. They've also received more money to do this zero fare thing. That actually comes in from a federal grant. They've got a lot of federal money coming in as well.
Now, I got to tell you, I got to tell you. So since Sportran is like hot off the presses, so like now I'm paying attention, I'm noticing, and I pretty much travel the same route every day. I come down Benton Road from Benton. School's in. I fight all that crap up there, with everybody at the Benton school trying to, trying to do the zipper method, and those trying to cheat the zipper method and all that crap. Anyway, so I come down Benton Road, and I always see these Sportran buses on Benton Road. So the last few days, it's kind of, I've noticed something, and I've seen some Sportran buses. Oh. And I got to tell you, I made an observation.
Were they full of people?
I didn't see a single person except for the driver on. I seen 3. I counted 3 of them.
Wait,
I didn't see
3 buses and 3 drivers.
3 buses and 3 drivers. I never once, and I was looking hard, I never once saw a passenger.
You got to be. Maybe they were like sitting down real low or taking a nap on the bus.
I may have missed them. I don't know, but I'm telling you, I got pretty good eyes, and I'm right there. I'm literally within 10, 20 feet of Benton Road, and I'm looking into the bus, and they came by early in the morning, and they came by sometime around noonish or whatever. I never seen a single passenger on the bus.
Well, and look, to be fair, we are going to press very hard to get the public information request in. And look, the Sportran people aren't going to be there till after the first of the year. So, we're actually going to wait till next week, but we're going to send out some information requests, and we're going to get the demographics because that's public information. They're publicly funded. I don't even know if the city of Bossier has this. I've heard rumors that they've tried to get it and never received correct numbers. That's crazy when they're spending nearly $1 million a year there and with Sportran. But anyway, we're going to eventually get the numbers, and we'll publish the numbers, and we'll be able to know how many riders they average, because look, $1 million a year, need a pretty good bit of riders on there to be able to justify that at all.
Yeah. So it begs the question, who exactly are the people that utilize, the public transportation, the buses? Who are those people? Is it practical to send it to, let's say, even to Benton? Is it practical to send it to Green Acres Place? Is it practical to send it to South Bossier? What's the rhyme or reason here?
Well, okay, so these are some numbers that I pulled up from, it's the American Public Transit Association, which is composed of, I think, like 1,500 transit companies or entities or whatever. So these are national numbers. These are not numbers just for the Bossier area, but it kind of gives us a little perspective. And you have to remember, some areas like, I don't know if the New York Transit Authority or whatever they're called is a member of this, but in New York there's a lot of public transportation used. Washington D.C. and some other areas, more so than here, or more so than Bossier. So again, these are national numbers, but this kind of gives us a little bit of insight into the demographics, because as we've seen in some of the commentary, there are basically 2 places where people are not for adding another route for Sportran. People are against it because, A, the tax expenditures, all right, the tax dollars, and then B, because there is a perception that people who ride the bus will inject higher crime into an area around the bus stops and things like that. Now, I don't know that to be true, but that is absolutely, you can go read the Facebook commentary. That is one of the reasons people use for being against the buses. So I thought we would share out some of this, general information tonight.
Holy crap, look at the statistic right there. Education.
Yeah.
51% of transit riders hold a bachelor's degree.
Yes.
That is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, nationally, it's kind of interesting. Starting on the upper left there where I've got it highlighted in yellow, 79% of all transit riders, and I'm assuming this is probably buses and trains, I guess, or subways. But anyway, they fall into the most economically active age range from 25 to 54. The single largest group of riders consists of white or Caucasian riders. That's at 40%. Communities of color make up a majority of the riders. That's 60% overall, and I would assume that would be black, Hispanic, Asian, whatever, are considered communities of color. But African American riders comprise the single largest group within that 60%. They are 24% of the 60%. All right. But the largest group is Caucasian riders. All right. Let's see what else. Let me see if I can get my mouse to play nicely. Yeah, go ahead.
So what was the deal? I heard something about the zero fare stuff. What was that about?
Well, the zero fare is they're not going to charge any fares for the riders after, I assume it's immediately after the first of the year. And the Shreveport City Council voted, I've got the video, but I may or may not play it. But anyway, where they discussed this, Denaro Washington, who I believe is the CEO, whatever his official title is, of the Shreveport Transit deal, he approached the City Council and, updated them. So basically, this is a federal grant that when you ride the bus, you don't have to pay a fare. Now, the city of Bossier is still going to be paying and subsidizing Sportran. The city of Shreveport is. The federal government is now subsidizing the actual fares for riders. And those fares are less than $2. They're like, what is it, $1.25 or $1.45? As a matter of fact, during the Shreveport City Council meeting, they made a joke about not needing their $30 Uber rides anymore because Sportran also offers a service kind of similar to Uber for like $1.25 a ride. Not $1.25 a mile or $1.25 an hour, $1.25 or 45, whatever it is, per ride, which will now be free. Well, free as in free beer or free lunch.
Well, so obviously the taxpayers, regardless of whether you're in Shreveport, Bossier, or what have you, I mean, nothing is free in this world. I mean, I know you always say that everything is free, especially if the government pays for it. But
yeah, right. That would be our good friend Matt Varnell. He and I got in a little Facebook argument.
I know that was an undercut there, but anyway,
I got you.
So I mean, whether you think you're paying for it or not, you are paying for it, because if there is a federal subsidy here that is shipping people around or enabling there to be this zero fare, arguably every taxpayer is paying for it, right?
Yeah, right. And, so Shane Cheatham put a comment up, and let me see if I can share it out real quick. I'm going to grab my calculator real quick. He says the amount per rider will be astonishing when those numbers come out locally. Maybe time to start our own Bostran or contract with iShuttle or Uber or something, or create Bossier Watch transportation. That would be cool. Not really. I bet we could provide the service for the city for much less than $1 million a year. Now, you bring up a good point, Shane. I did some incredibly rough math, but by the numbers nationally, I think it was 10 to 14% of the population uses public transportation. So we know that Bossier City has about, what does it, Duke, about 50, 60,000 people?
Yeah.
All right, so let's do the high side. We're going to say 60,000, and I'm going to give them 14%. All right, so we're doing the really high side. All right, that would be 8,400 people out of the population using Sportran. Again, very rough math, all right? Well, we know that they're paying Sportran at least $900,000, the city of Bossier, so we take the $900,000, again, using round numbers for this, and we divide that by the 8,400, and that puts us at $107 per rider right there, just very basic rough math, and again, I'm kind of figuring on the high side, I think.
Holy crap! So you're estimating some kind of ballpark, rough, crazy number that's probably not right, but maybe close. Who knows? Flip a coin. But $177 a ride. Holy crap! We could be riding everybody around in limousines for that kind of money.
Yeah, we could. And yes, I am putting those numbers out there. Again, very rough math, just using general numbers and on the high side for the number of people riding. So the fewer people that ride and the more we pay Shreveport, the more it's going to cost the city of Bossier City to subsidize. But yeah, I'm doing that to anger and piss some people off.
Yeah, Cindy Ulrich, she makes a post. She says, I'm not opposed to public transportation. I just don't want the bus stop areas in the community to become trash like it has around other businesses so far. Admittedly, I got to say, yeah, it's a good point. I could definitely understand that. But, I would think, I mean, because there hadn't been any bus stops in South Bossier, and I don't go to South Bossier a lot. But in North Bossier, where there are some bus stops, I can say I don't know that I've necessarily noticed it being just completely trashy around. I'm not saying it's not, but I hadn't noticed it. I would think I would notice that.
Honestly, I hadn't either. I mean, now, at least not any more than other, general areas of Bossier. And Tommy and them are pretty sharp on that trash pickup routine the last couple of months. So, I'm sure they'll make sure to keep it nice and tidy.
Yeah, has anyone else noticed that? All of y'all watching, have y'all noticed that? I mean,
hey,
we're
get some pictures of some of the bus stops, because a lot of people have commented and shared information that, like you said, the trash gets unruly around the bus stops. If you see that, take a picture of it, send it to us. We don't even have to share your name if you don't want. And again, I'm not doing this to slam Sportran. I would actually be fine with Sportran if they weren't so highly subsidized. That's the real challenge.
Yeah, and like when we get down into the other part of the show, we start talking about subsidies, and the police jury. Remember back in the sewer district with Barry Butler? I know Barry's watching. Remember us talking about how a certain part of the parish, because of the sewer district, their sewer costs are subsidized by all the taxpayers, while those taxpayers that are subsidizing that are paying a higher price for sewer in their parts of the city. Does that make it right? I mean, so for a lot of you folks, is it right for you to be subsidizing public transportation when you don't even get the benefit of it? So like, let's say, for example, I guess Halton or Benton, if you don't have Sportran, is it right for you to be paying federal tax dollars and then be subsidizing public transportation in Shreveport and Bossier City?
With your federal and city taxes. And look, the South Bossier people have brought that point up repeatedly, is that, hey, they're helping subsidize bus transportation for basically middle or north Bossier, but they don't get the benefit of it. And so why not put some bus stops down there? If they're going to have to spend their tax dollars, at least they need to get the benefit. But I would say, going back to my north versus south issue, that the tinfoil hat part of me says that maybe North Bossier has kept it that way for a reason. I mean, what do you South Bossier people want? City Hall next?
No, I mean, it would almost be like, if you lived in South Bossier, you would take offense to a $30 million YMCA being built in North Bossier to bring the total number of ball fields north of I-20 to 38 ball fields when you've only got 2 south of I-20 and you have the majority of rooftops in all of Bossier City? I mean, I don't know. I'm just thinking subsidies for north versus south.
Yeah. So we got a couple of good comments though. Let me share these up.
I'm wondering what Lisa Johnson thinks about the disparity between ball fields for kids in North Bossier versus South Bossier. What's the chamber's position on that?
Yeah, give us a comment there, Lisa.
It's the end of the year. Let's throw some fastballs.
Let's figuratively or literally throw some people under the bus. All right. Salted Pretzel says, it happens at times at one of the airline stops at Walmart. That said, most of the stops that I've seen, this being Salted Pretzel, aren't too bad. In fact, I-20 looks worse than many of the bus stops I've seen, and I used to ride Sportran many moons ago. And in full disclosure, I have not ridden Sportran. I mean, I've ridden Greyhound and Trailways and all that when I was a kid, but I hadn't ridden Sportran. Duke, we need to go for a Sportran ride.
That is a novel idea, Rex.
We may just have to do that. That's going to be our New Year's resolution, is to get our free lunch and go ride the Sportran bus.
That would be a trip. We could ride it in Shreveport. We could ride it in Bossier. And
yeah.
Look,
we'll go see the sights.
Wait a minute. I wonder what the times of the bus routes are. I don't even know. Maybe we could do a live show from a Sportran bus and interview people getting on the bus.
That's a good idea. We may be interviewing some crickets, but we could try.
Well, it may be, but I think you and I could carry on a conversation good enough on the bus ride.
We could do a 3-hour bus ride and have a 3-hour show.
We could fill in until somebody got on the bus.
Oh, yeah. We're pretty good at ad-libbing. So Lisa Friday Johnson says, Keep Bossier Beautiful has in their 2022 plan to add trash receptacles at the bus stops. And if I remember correctly, they will keep these areas up. That's cool. Lisa's Keep Bossier Beautiful. Are they going to fund those trash cans, or is this something that's got to go through Sportran? I know it's been mentioned that anytime the enclosed bus stops or whatever are added, you got to pay Sportran some more money. Now, we hadn't seen the contract yet, so that's just coming from some inside sources, but we'll try to figure that out. So that's cool if Keep Bossier Beautiful, and that's who I was trying to think of earlier on the Yard Awards that my wife actually won once upon a time when we lived over on Sheck's Drive.
Now,
won the Yard Award.
That's pretty awesome. Now, I got to tell you, now speaking of Sportran, on Cut 9, Rex, I actually had occasion to see Sportran in action today in Bossier.
Yeah, let's check.
And I snapped a picture of it.
Well, let's check that out. And as we switch to that, I want to also let everybody know, one of the things I've got highlighted right here is that 65% of public transportation users have a driver's license. Did you know that? And 54% indicated they have a vehicle available to them on an ongoing basis. Again,
okay, wait a minute.
Whoop.
Lisa Johnson.
Okay.
We have a Lisa Johnson post. Yes, they have a grant for these programs. With their new director, there are some great things coming out of this nonprofit. Well, I'm wondering where those grants come from.
Well, I'm going to guess they're probably
it may be private grants, but I'm wondering if it's federal grants.
Yeah, because Denaro Washington did mention during the Shreveport City Council meeting that, or one of the deals I read, one or the other. Anyway, that they were hoping in the future, after the Zero Fare grant runs out in 2 years, and it will, that then they were hoping to get some private grants and donations and all that to keep up the Zero Fare. So that also answers one of the other questions a lot of people have asked is, well, how long does the Zero Fare last? About 2 years. And
Kaylee Larkin says, yeah, your tax dollars at work, Duke.
Yes. Tax dollars at work. All right, let's bring up Cut 9 here. Hey, look, that bus almost matches my shirt. No,
yeah,
I'll give Sportran a little credit. Their buses are very colorful and creative and not drab and dreary. I don't know how much they spend on each wrap or if they have their own wrapping team to wrap those buses, but they got Gordon McKiernan and all these other lawyers that are paying for those. So at least they're not old rundown buses. They look cool on the outside.
Yeah, although I did see one that had some kind of dadgum COVID mask crap, something muzzle, promoting muzzles and all that. If you're one of them people and you believe it and all that, I mean, I'm sorry. And look, I make no apology. I did say sorry. I said sorry. No. Okay. I'm not sorry. I don't make no apologies. I don't believe in all that crap, but they had it stamped all over the side of one of them buses or what have you. But anyway, that's not what this is about. But anyway, East Texas Street, one of their buses was broke down. And the reason I thought it was important to snap this picture, and of course it goes to the overall operation of these things, and day in and day out, whether there's anybody riding them or not, the expense to maintain them, it keeps trudging on along. I mean, these things have semi-truck tires. I mean, and tires are expensive these days. I mean, just like one of those steer tires on the front, you're talking about $400 to $600 just by itself. And here you have one broke down, service trucks there. I mean, no way if that's not a Sportran service truck, if that's a private company, I mean, that's going to be $1,000, $2,000 ticket right there for servicing that thing.
Well, yeah, and the whole key to this is, from a subsidy perspective, is what the math is on how many people are utilizing the buses. I mean, if we had, full buses and they were moving people back and forth to their jobs, that's one thing. But if they're riding around primarily empty and they're only charging less than $1.50 a ride anyway, and we're having to subsidize them nearly $1 million a year, that's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, and in all fairness to Sportran, I'm not ready to put the dagger in Sportran yet. I mean, I want to see all of the data. I want to see the numbers. I want to see, because for me, it's about can we do it more economically? Can we provide a service of, people who can't get around? I mean, can we do it cheaper? I mean, I want to look at the numbers because at the end of the day, I mean, if it makes business sense and if it's smart, we should do it. If it's not, then we shouldn't. Kaylee Larkin is like on fire. I don't know if you see. Kaylee Larkin is really on fire. But can we get a grant on that chlorine water that no one is talking about?
Now, hold on just a second. Ruttenbuck was it Ruttenbuck talked about the chlorine?
If it comes to spending millions of dollars, Ruttenbuck's going to be talking about it.
He's going to be all over it.
You can take it to the bank. Ruttenbuck's going to be talking about it.
But you do bring up a good point. Shreveport's able to get $1 gajillion for Sportran, and, we keep having the brain-eating amoeba or whatever it is in the water system that they have to flush it out with chlorine all the time.
Yeah, but they got YMCAs, and they didn't have to pay for them.
Hey, the YMCA is only $30 million. Maybe the YMCA could also get in the public transportation business.
Yeah. Well,
all right.
Anyway,
couple more comments. We'll move on. Salted Pretzel says it's $1.25 a fare. Thank you. I couldn't remember if it was $1.25, $1.45, or whatever it was. Just knew it was less than $2 per trip. Once you reach your destination and return home, you have to pay again. The only time a person doesn't have to pay for each trip is if the person buys a monthly bus pass, but not going to be the case when the zero fare starts. It's going to be zero fare. Let's see. I was actually, you know what? Let's listen to the Shreveport City Council for a second. What do you say?
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right, so let me flip us over here, and let's see.
Chapter 102-127 of the Shreveport Municipal Code relative to Sportran fixed route and paratransit fares.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? Let's vote.
So let me ask a question.
Yeah, here we go.
So what was that one?
141.
41.
Okay. So this is going to suspend fares for how long?
2 years.
2 years.
Two.
And that's all fares?
All fares on the city bus system.
Okay.
Mr. Washington is here if you want to
Ask any questions.
ask him any questions.
I think the on-demand is still charging.
Yeah, so let's let Mr. Washington come up. We'll listen to a couple of minutes of him because this will help give everybody a few more clues into how the
Good afternoon, Council. What we're requesting is, consistent with our 2022 budget, is to suspend fares for our paratransit and our fixed route service in order to give our citizens that have had such a hard time throughout the pandemic a step up. This is something that we receive federal funding to do. It doesn't cost the city of Shreveport any additional funds, but it is something that will provide something to our citizens here in the Shreveport Bossier market.
So this is funded through a federal grant?
It is.
Okay.
Look, Mr. Nick, first, I hope your family is well, Mr. Washington.
I'm sorry.
I hope your family is well.
It is. Thank you so much for
We've received federal funds. Are these funds that we're talking about monies that could be used for another purpose if we do not suspend fares for 2
These were
years?
ARP funding dedicated to transit for a marketing program to bring people back to transit. It was my opinion versus spending $6 million on marketing, putting billboards out, actually give it to the people who are actually using the system and waiving these fares for 2 years.
Now, I'm going to pause it right there for a second, because notice how he took that. First of all, it was a great question by the city councilman. So, hint to our city councilman, those are the kind of questions you should actually ask on a repeated basis. But then Mr. Washington did a great job of spinning that, well, these were actually marketing dollars, and instead of using them on the marketing, we decided to give back to the people. Well, maybe they pulled it out of the marketing budget, but the federal government under I forget what the act was or whatever, actually had this available for zero fare type systems nationwide, and there are other cities that are implementing this. So I don't know, he's just spinning it a little bit.
So I gotta say, so everybody watching, I'm wondering if you're thinking like me. So we're sitting here talking about a private business utilizing federal funds to provide a service for public transportation. And, the first instinct probably of a lot of people is, oh man, they shouldn't be using our taxpayer dollars to fund that kind of stuff. But then on the other hand, you think, well, you know what? Freaking everybody else is doing it, so why shouldn't he do it?
Right.
Why shouldn't Sportran do it? Why should we be mad at Sportran for them doing it when everybody else is freaking doing it?
Well,
so
yeah, that's a good point.
So I'm just wondering, everybody watching, I mean, at what point when we all finally throw in the towel and say, well, if everybody else is going to be doing it, you know what? I'm just going to do it. And then once we all just do it and we all take these freebies and these handouts, I'm wondering where does everybody think that leaves us?
Yeah, well, it's the old deal with all our, benevolent overlords that are elected as, state rep, state senator, U.S. House or U.S. senator and all that. I mean, the biggest thing with them is, well, I was able to go to D.C. and bring back the money.
Bring back the money.
Show me the money. So, yeah, where does it end?
And I would akin that to, tonight they were having that meeting going on about, the MPC and Caddo and, branching on out into the parish and controlling what was going on in the parish. And somebody pointed out, oh, you already got that in Bossier. Y'all had that. But I'm just saying, at what point, look, if somebody, and I heard one of the arguments they talked about and they used it as an example, they said that somebody bought this house rurally out in the parish to get away from everybody. And then all of a sudden, within a month or 2 months or something of building that, all of a sudden, here comes, this business that bought the land adjoining this residential house rurally, cleared it all off and made it like into a big truck stop or what have you. And the people that had bought the house were then stuck, couldn't do anything. I agree. That would suck. Mm-hmm. That would suck. It really would. But at what point do we all realize that allowing, government to dictate every single thing we can do, like all you guys, if you want to go out in the yard and rake your leaves, but yet the parish comes back with some rule and says, okay, you can only rake leaves between the months of December. That's a bad example. For Louisiana, January and February, but you can't do it any other months. How would you like that? I mean, I think we're getting too many government entities that are controlling too many things. And, that goes back to just like, remember, we did a show earlier in the year, the Boss Man Riding Club and the Bossier Parish Police Jury.
You're right.
I mean, we're giving up too many freedoms. And in the case over there, and we're going to have to talk to Mario about this with that Caddo NPC, but they're talking about making that body a taxing body that is unaccountable to taxpayers. We've seen that in Cypress District. Mm-hmm. They can go and incur debt. Doesn't have to be any approval from any of you guys. Right. None whatsoever. You see Bossier City going and doing these bonds. That way they don't have to, put it in front of the taxpayers because they don't want to run the risk of the taxpayers opposing it.
Right.
And I'm not saying that it's, doing it the way that they're doing it is is not wise, because I think that you could. I see the point in what they're doing. They're trying to be proactive, but
okay.
well, yeah. I mean, and I'm giving them a little grace there. They're trying to be proactive, but it takes away from the type of governance that this country was founded on, that the people are in charge, right?
The people haven't been in charge for a long, long time. And here's the reason. Because just look at the voter turnouts. That whole bond issue in Shreveport, what did they end up having? Like less than 10% turnout or something? It was like under 10% to decide the largest bond issue in like the history of Shreveport or whatever. They have less than 10% turnout. The people aren't in charge. The politicians are in charge. And they game the system to their benefit. Just like with the bond issue. Now, they can sit there and claim that they do that because it's for the best interest of the city and they get, a higher bond rating and lower interest rates. BS. They don't want the voters to have to directly vote on those issues because they know it'll stir up the pot, it'll piss people off, and as we saw when the Cypress District tried to double their millage rate, and when the school board tried to raise their tax rate 40%, those were soundly rejected over here in Bossier with high turnout rates. People got pissed off about that. All right. But the challenge is people don't get that pissed off anymore.
No, they don't. And people like us stirring the pot, are the problems in society, apparently. But, you've got governments now that are getting wily to the public, and the legislature, they own blame in this because they created this LCDA so that taxing authorities like the city of Bossier, the police jury, school board, Cypress District, they don't need you, the voter. They can put a tax on you or whatever without even coming to you anymore. And I guess that's the biggest problem I have, is not having to come to us and say to us, do y'all, the voter, think that it's a good idea? To me, when I elect or vote for somebody, I'm voting for them to go up there and vote on issues. I'm not voting for them to go and make a decision as to whether or not I should have a Republican form of government or not, or whether we should be a socialist country. I'm not voting for them to do that. I'm voting for them to follow the Constitution. But these jackwagons are going up there and voting to take things away from us.
Well, well, I'll go a little bit more down the rabbit hole, and then we probably need to dig back out of it. But look, the Constitution is only as good as the set of, district, federal, and Supreme Court justices that you have sitting behind the bench. People, well, that's against the Constitution. Yeah, but you have to sue to make it right. You got a money tree sitting out there and a team of lawyers? I mean, think about that for a second. Your rights are only as good as the least restrictive laws against your rights. That's it.
Well, moving right along to other government waste. Maybe I shouldn't say government.
I don't even know where we are or where we're headed, but let's roll with it.
Jump on down to Walter O. Big Carriageway. Let's get on. We've preached enough about freaking bad government. 2021. I mean, I think everybody watching, what do y'all think? Do y'all think we've got the greatest government that there is? I think I know the answer to it. I know what I think, but I think government is freaking corrupt. I think it's the biggest impediment to this country. I think it's the biggest impediment to our social issues, between everybody. I think it's the biggest impediment to our financial issues, geopolitical. I think government is the problem.
I would agree that it is. Roger Thornhill says most bond proposals are voted upon during anticipated low voter turnout. Thus, the special interest can turn those interests out in majority. Absolutely correct. When they actually do put them in front of the voters on the ballot box. All right. So, yeah. So we're moving down to the Walter O. Bigby deal.
So everybody, if y'all want a little update, just so you know, still to this date, not a single councilman in Bossier City has acknowledged what the 8 digits that the quote unquote city engineer whose contract expired in October said, if we delayed would cost. And we showed the contract on this show where it said nothing about any kind of penalties or $10 million or 8 digits. There was nothing in there whatsoever. And it clearly showed that the city could shut the project down. Still to this day, your city councilman and your mayor, the Brandon of Bossier City, could stop this project and do it upright and do it the way it was originally planned to do, which was not dump it out on Benton Road at Old Green Acres Place in the middle of a subdivision. It was somewhere steered away from the original course, but we're not going to all the way go there. But anyway, so I just wanted to ride down it today, and let's just see, how many more millions since the 8 digits figure came out from, what do we call him? Man buck, Russian buck, Rutten buck, Man Shack, the second coming of engineers.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. I'm going to pull up cut 10 here. Let me get this rolling for us. There we go. So there's cut 10. Well, that looks interesting.
Yeah, looks like 8 digits worth of equipment and material sitting there to me.
Yeah. Looks like they're all, it is a still picture, granted. It's not video, but, where they're like tracos or excavators or dozers running up and down the road, were there people working, or maybe they're all for the holidays?
I don't know. There was some people. I think I could probably count on one hand, may have pushed 2 hands worth of people out there. But I just wanted to share these couple of pictures to show everybody what 8 digits worth of expenses is looking like right here, because obviously nobody in Bossier City will answer the question of, at the time of that meeting, what 8 digits worth of costs looked like on that date when he said that's what it would cost if you stopped.
Well, at least in this picture, we got some, some equipment. We got an excavator sitting there and a dozer and some culverts.
Yeah, and in fact, here's the interesting thing, Rex. I'm pretty sure, and the equipment that's here, this is for this is a different contract. This isn't even the JB James stuff. I'm pretty sure that's correct. I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that we have that contract as well too.
So right now our stance is that there's not much progress being made on the Walter O. Bigby Carriageway project that they were in such a hurry to do, and they've only got a limited number of days to get it done in, or they got to pay these guys. What was the figure?
Well, according to Ruttenbuck, you got 8 digits.
8 digits, which would be $10 million plus.
But here's the thing: as far as I know, no elected official in Bossier City has the courage so far to push on this issue. None of them have asked the question. I think they don't want to know the answer. I think because in their heart, they know the answer, and they don't want the answer.
Well, so that's a heck of a way to kind of close out 2021. It's just been a very interesting year.
And to close out 2021 on Walter O. Bigby Carriageway, we should also let everybody know that we still have public information requests to the city of Bossier for documents, and the city attorney has now drug us out for we're pushing 2 months on those requests now.
And let's see. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head the open meetings law, but they have 3 days to respond to the request or give a good valid reason why they're not able to fulfill the request, in a timely manner.
Yeah, and we're not the guys that gripe and complain a whole lot.
Right.
I don't think that we have. I've never sent him a nasty email saying, hey, you're taking too long or things are dragging out. But what I would say is that on this issue pertaining to Walter O. Bigby Carriageway and Man Shack, I think we are being stonewalled, Rex. I think we're intentionally being denied this information
because I think that the city attorney knows what we're looking for. I think he knows what we're trying to get. And I would also say, since the mayor of Bossier City, not Tahoe Tommy. I mean, what was it? Not
No, it's Let's Go Tommy now.
Yeah, let's go. No, let's go Brandon and Bossier. Yeah, Tommy. Let's go Tommy. I think even Let's Go Tommy knows what I'm looking for, but for some reason he's the city attorney acts at the behest of the mayor there, right? So for some reason they're not wanting to give us this information. And I'm going to bet my wallet that once they do give us this information, they're going to redact it and they're going to block out what. Listen close, guys, down there at City Hall. We already know what's there. We already know. Question is let's fast forward this game here. Are you going to give it to us, or are you going to block us from getting it?
So,
Yeah,
look, sometimes not saying anything or inaction can reveal more than actually taking action.
Yeah, I mean, let's save y'all the trouble. Just pick which team you're going to be on. Just go ahead and pick. Are you going to cover, or are you going to not cover? I mean, you just need to decide. I mean, it's really that simple.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, it is. It should be that simple. All right, so now that we've had our soapbox and of course, threatened City Hall again, nicely, by the way. But hey, it is what it is.
Hey, I did ask the city attorney if he'd let me drive the Zamboni. Did I tell you that?
Yeah, like to his face, didn't you? Like in City Hall.
I did. Yeah, I did. I asked him. I said, "Hey, look," I said, "somebody told me." When I went up there to pick up one of these documents that we requested on some other stuff. Anyway, and I asked him. I said, "Hey," I said, he was walking out of the hall. I was sitting down. I think I was on the phone with you.
Yeah.
I was sitting down there on the bench and I was reading the documents and I was reading them out to you. And he comes walking by and I said, Hey, I said, man, look, I said, somebody told me that said, I had to ask you. I said, can I drive the Zamboni? And he says, he says, I ain't never going to live that down. I ain't never going to live that down. And walks off.
Yeah.
He did shake my hand.
Certainly not, because it's now in our intro, by the way. Oh, look, I don't remember doing the Beetlejuice thing, but Mysterious Mark Smith says, if you already know what's there, why did you file the FOIA? Well, first of all, it's not a FOIA. That would be on the federal side. But since you want to know, sometimes it's about the principle of it. It's that simple.
Ooh, Rex, that's deep six. He may have just asked you that question for you to say what you just said to see whether or not you knew the difference in what we were asking for or not.
There's all these little chess games that everybody plays.
Yeah, people are probably wondering what in the heck are they talking about, but there is a significant distinction there.
And I promise this is just sweet tea, folks. All right, so speaking of that and information and whether it's Freedom of Information Act or a public records request, so on and so forth, whistleblowing.
Are we going to go there, or are we going to, let's get something out of the way. Let's go on and make this call to everybody, to our Bossier City people watching.
You're talking about with the COTY?
No, with the Charter Commission.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we hadn't talked about that in a while.
And I say you've got it up here in your list, but as y'all know in previous shows, and we're going to kind of jet through all this stuff for the 2021 stuff review quickly, right. But the Charter Commission, it's time. In previous shows, we covered briefly some of the provisions in the city charter, especially at the beginning of the Brandon of Bossier's term in administration while he was in Las Vegas when they did his first budget. That's neither here nor there, I guess. But we covered a few things, that citizens, if you have enough energy to want to fight and make change in Bossier, make Bossier a better place, I mean, because that's what this is all about. And we were going to conclude with what the final thing to push for and the final thing to do and what you could do. And that was to push your elected officials to have a charter commission.
Right. Well,
and go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, and I'm going to come in from the negative side for just a second. Folks, we kind of laid out in that previous show about the Charter Commission, but it's kind of like a lot of things. It's kind of like a recall effort against a city councilman. If it fizzles out, then it doesn't do any good, and it doesn't really do any good later on to get mad about something the city council does. You know, so we need some people to look into the Charter Commission a little more, deep dive into it. I think we shared out the information. If not, we'll make sure that we do. And get the ball rolling, because this is one of the ways that you hold the city council's feet to the fire all the time.
Yeah, and the reason that we're calling for a charter commission, and the reason that we think that is the probably the most important thing that you guys could do to affect change in Bossier City, is because for the most part, every single person sitting up there in an elected office, including the Brandon of Bossier City, they all said they supported term limits. But yet, the majority of all of them up there, with the exception of Vince Maggio, Chris Smith, Tahoe Tommy, and what am I missing? The rest of them, they've been in there at least a decade or longer.
Yeah, some of them a couple of decades. That's a lot. We've been in there so many terms. When you say you've been in there a couple of decades, it has a little different impact.
Yeah, and it's not saying that anybody is. It's not saying that anybody is a bad person that's elected and in there or whatever. We're not saying that. But what we are saying is that the idea of government and the idea of somebody being a politician, it's not supposed to be that it's a lifetime job, it's a lifetime appointment, it's a lifetime. That's wrong. Times change, your elected officials need to change, and the ideas need to change somewhat. You need to have fresh ideas in there and a new perspective. And I would argue that the current situation in Bossier City, it's been complacent with the status quo, and we're now at a point where we're seeing the problems, we're seeing stagnation, and we see we need a little bit of change. And you say, well, how can you say that? Bossier City is one of the fastest growing places in Louisiana. I go back to debt to income. I go back to the wisdom of we're going to dump a Walter O. Bigby carriageway out and create another obstacle on one of the busiest roads in Bossier City. And, oh, by the way, it dumps out into the middle of Old Green Acres Place into a subdivision. Is that wisdom?
Well,
no.
It's progress. Hey, and that's the big buzzword that they always use is it's progress.
So a charter commission and how that would work, every councilman would get to pick someone. The current charter that we're operating under has been there for, good gracious, a coon's age, as somebody from the country would say. And it is in need of revision. There's a lot of different things that need to change within that charter commission. Each councilman would get to pick one person, and the mayor would get to pick two. Now that you've got that council seat, I think it was District 1, South Bossier, now that that's resolved, it's time to have a, commission. And I would argue that the primary thing that needs to be placed on the agenda of that charter commission is the inclusion of term limits. And let's be done with this status quo thing, from now on out. Let's put term limits on the mayor. Let's put term limits on the councilman, and let's be done with this.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's got to be done. And your wife says people need to get off their butts and vote. That is absolutely true. Oh, and kind of a side note, I wanted to address one thing. Somebody earlier asked, who is Walter O. Bigby? He was a Democratic state representative for Bossier Parish who served from 68 to 79. He was sometimes referred to as the, quote, Dean of the House, end quote, because of a reputation for integrity, fairness, and hard work.
And there's Bo to crash the show.
Well, he's consistent in crashing the show. All
So,
right.
Rex, we've got a section here, and for everybody watching, and this is good for everybody because there's a lot of folks watching that you're involved or you work for local government or you're involved in local government. And, this kind of pertains to you because whether you know it or not, you do have some obligations. And I was a government worker, I guess you could say. Worked for the city of Bossier, retired from city of Bossier. And, I fell under this. I had an obligation to this. So I think that we ought to cover this, especially when we're the kind of show and as much anonymous information. And I'm going to jump off into 2022 just a little bit, Rex, because for everybody watching, you think 2021 was loaded with Zambonis. Just wait for 2022. We already know some Zambonis that are going to be driven by the good guys in 2022. And it all originates from whistleblower information. And it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah. 2021 was kind of the build-up. And, 2022, we're going to step on the gas pedal, so to speak.
Yes.
All right, so I'm not going to belabor this very long because we've already been on in an hour and 15 minutes or so. And so full disclosure, we only play attorneys on Facebook. So, but I do want to share some screenshots out and some information. So let me see if I can get that pulled up. Let's get rid of our non-progress right there. And so there are basically multiple sets of whistleblower statutes and regulations, etc. For example, there are federal whistleblower laws. Most of those pertain to, obviously, the federal government. There are separate deals like for OSHA, and I'm sure there are other government agencies that have their own sets of whistleblower rules that, are based off of the federal statutes, but there are also state laws for whistleblowing. And of course, Louisiana has their own. So this is actually from the legislative auditor site. This is just a summary of it, and you can see the appropriate statutes listed here. We'll put a link to the PDF in the show notes, and you can go and click and actually read the statutes. All right. But what I wanted to talk about was the basic premise in Louisiana is that if you suspect or observe an illegal act happening, whether it's a government entity or whatever, you have a duty in the state of Louisiana to first report it. So you have to go to supervisor or whoever's in charge of that entity or maybe the appointing authority, and you actually have to report that illegal act first. That way, if it, as it progresses through the court system or whatever, if it does, then you've got your bases covered. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I want to go to, let me cut over here to, page 2. And let me get that one pulled up on the screen. There we go. All right. So I got a couple of things highlighted here. These are the types of employee action that are characteristic of whistleblowers. Whistleblower discloses or threatens to disclose a workplace act or practice that is in violation of state law. Whistleblower provides information to or testifies before a public body conducting an investigation, hearing, or inquiry into an actual violation of the law, or they object or refuse to participate in an employment act or practice that is in violation of the law. So, for example, I don't know. Let's say that I wanted to go up to the Cypress Park, and since I know Robert Berry, I'm quite sure he wouldn't do this because he's probably not a fan of either one of us these days. But hey Robert, man, can I get one of those? Can I get one of those cabins for the weekend? Y'all aren't real busy, or can I get an RV spot? Or can I, we're gonna put an RV up here. Can I get an extra spot for my pickup truck and boat? All right. Well, that's not necessarily an illegal act per se, unless there are some stipulations. So that may, if I were actually an elected official or something like that. Now the trick is, if a potential whistleblower sees this, they have to report it up the chain. I guess ostensibly to allow the action to be corrected. So again, there are some caveats to just whistleblowing. It's not like in the movies necessarily. The courts, I've got it highlighted there, the courts, as noted below, have required more than a good faith belief that a violation of law has occurred. The courts have held that the employee is required to show that an actual violation of state law occurred and notify the employer of the violation, and those are essential elements of a whistleblower claim. And if all of that is accomplished, then any retaliation or adverse actions, the whistleblower has justification to file a cause of action and may receive compensatory damages. All right. So that's the main premise of that. Now, there's a little bit of difference with DEQ, or I guess here will be the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality. They can actually file under multiple statutes, and if successful, the damages can actually be tripled for a DEQ employee. All right. And then there's also a little bit of difference with the Board of Ethics. Let's take a look at this one here. The Code of Governmental Ethics also contains a whistleblower provision. That's Revised Statute 42:1169. And the courts have seemed to have held in the past so far that statute applies only to violations of the Code of Government Ethics. But employees can also sue under a more general law, which is 23:967. But the employer must have committed a violation of state law that the employee, again, attempted to disclose or refused to participate in. All right. So in other words, the point of all this is, if you've got some information, you've heard us say 1,000 times, that you want to share, but you fear repercussions, and from your current employer, depending on what your job situation is, or your status around town, social or political status or whatever, go to protonmail.com. Make an account. If you're really paranoid, and sometimes justifiably so, set up a VPN. Go to it under a VPN. That will help. It doesn't make you completely anonymous, but it helps. And set up a Proton Mail account. Email us to bozierwatch@protonmail.com. Do not put any identifying information in the information that you share with us, and we will review it. And then, best bets, don't tell anybody else. Now, I'm not suggesting you violate the law. I'm just giving you options.
Yeah, and to one point, and to a few people that know that we may be talking about you, it's too late. Just so you know, it's too late. We already got you. Anyway, moving along, Rex, 2021. So show review, and then we're going to figure out. Nobody is talking about who they think should be the cockroach of the year.
Well, let's talk about this more.
Nobody watching the show.
Well,
they're not talking about it.
We mentioned it, but let's go a little further into it. So here's what we want y'all to do, folks. So we've still got, I don't know, what do we got? 50, 60 people watching, something like that. 57,
67 on Facebook. I don't know how many on the other.
All right, so for those of you that have been watching the show for a while, you know that the Cockroach of the Week is not necessarily a bad thing. It can be, in some context, it can actually be positive. But depending on the situation, it could be negative. So, for instance, where this originated was Duke, myself, Ann Price, Mike Collier, I think Barry Butler, you were included in that. We were basically called cockroaches and cohorts. And what else was that? Oh, contrarians.
That was actually in show 9 at the 550 mark.
Yes. Okay. So go back and review that, show 9 at the 5:50 mark when you get bored, and you'll see what we're talking about. And we've done a couple of cockroaches of the week. We don't do it every week or every show because, it's kind of a special reserved title. But here's the deal. We would like for y'all to vote in the comments who you think should be the cockroach of the year. Now, before you put anything in the comments, I want you to put the word vote, then hit your space bar, and whoever you think the cockroach of the year should be. So, for instance, I'm going to put it in there right now who my vote would be. I'll be showing up as Bozier Watch, but I'm going to put, I vote Doug Rimmer. All right, and so you'll see my comment show up. I got the word vote, and that allows me to search real easy and pull up all the votes. All right, and then I'll try to do some quick counting and some quick math, even though it's getting late in the evening, and see if I can get it accurate. So my vote is Doug Rimmer.
Now, this ain't going to be no Bozier Now poll here, is it?
No, not at all. This is completely unscientific, although we'll have
I don't want to be dead to nobody else.
Okay. So, look, we've got one vote. Our friend Ryan Haygood votes Mr. Brad Jerkovich for Cockroach of the Year.
All right. So, we're going to refresh. We'll give everybody some time to kind of refresh, and we're going to go down memory lane a little bit with a few of the shows and kind of talk about the year. I mean, this was our first year, the amateur journalists that we are. I mean, what is it you say? I hear it all the time from you. I ought to know it. What? Unprofessional amateur journalist.
Yeah, throw out whatever adjectives. They all pretty much fit. Yeah, we are here to be part of the noise and make as much noise as possible. Let's put it that way. We have another vote. David Montgomery, King David himself.
Okay. So somebody said that they wanted to see Bo. They're dying to see Bo. So I sent you 2 pictures, Rex. I sent you one of him in the snow, and then I sent you one in his normal state.
Yeah, one looks majestic. The other one, well, maybe not so much.
But that's actually him. So I wanted to let everybody see and know who Bo is, since he crashes our show with his loud voice.
Yeah, give me just a second. So I'm getting that set up while we progress and while folks are voting, furiously voting. Let me share those over there. And let me see, where's my mouse? Okay.
Ashley Bullock says, can you add roaches to his crown?
Yes, I can.
But I don't know that counts as a vote because she didn't put vote and the name of the person.
No, she did for David Montgomery. She did.
Oh, yeah, that's right. She did up there above. I'm sorry, I missed it.
All right, so let's show a picture of Bo. Would you like the majestic regal photo first or the normal?
Yeah, let's go with the majestic regal photo of Bo first.
Yes, now there we go. That's a good looking lab right there.
Well, he is not a lab. That is the first mistake you made.
Oh, really?
He is a Chesapeake.
He is a Chesapeake. Well, technically they're labs.
Not really. They are actually a different breed.
Well, they are a different breed, but it's like saying black lab versus chocolate. There really is no chocolate lab. They're all black labs. The Chesapeake Bay Retriever, I know it's not lab, but anyway.
He is not a lab. People make that mistake all the time, but they are a distinctive breed. Primarily, look at that kinky hair on his neck. You see that?
Yeah. Do you know what they were originally bred for?
I do.
To jump off of ships.
They were fishing dogs.
Yeah.
To retrieve the buoys, for the nets for the fishermen.
And they're only 150, 200 years old, give or take a little.
And they also were used to collect the loose fish on the deck of the boat to put them. They would retrieve the fish to put them back in the trough.
Huh, interesting. Hey, do you know what the other dog with webbed feet is? There's basically for us the standard poodle. They were bred as retrievers to go off the coast in England and retrieve ducks. Standard poodles.
I had no idea.
Yeah, they're actually great retrievers. I mean, not the super domesticated ones, kind of like chocolates and Goldens and everything else. But yeah, standard poodles were originally bred to retrieve ocean ducks in England.
I'll be doggone. Well, now Bo is not always this majestic. In fact, that image there is rarely his state. In fact, his state is normally a different way. Normally.
Yeah, that's typical lab pose there. Or, excuse me, typical Chessie pose / lab.
That's normally his state.
That's hilarious. Now, how old is Bo?
Bo is a little over a year old. Yeah, he is a puppy.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay, so now we've seen more of Bo.
Yeah, we got Bo out of the way. So, Rex, in 2021, in the beginning of the year, do you remember back kind of really our first shows? I mean, we've only been at this right at a year with this citizen journalism. And
Yes,
do you remember our first show?
Some of those shows were cringeworthy. The first show was it October the 6th or the 10th? I can't remember.
I don't remember exactly either, but do you remember what it was about?
I don't even remember what we rambled about.
And do you remember who? The who? Shane Cheatham.
Oh, was I on
Shane?
Oh,
no.
it was over over the insurance deal?
Yeah, remember Shane? And he was on the school board still at that time.
Right.
And, you know, he's been kind of absent tonight on the show.
Yeah, he made a comment. He maybe he's still there.
And he was talking about, remember the missing numbers in the email?
Yeah. Okay.
Remember something? I don't even remember what it was about, but he was talking about, I had an email that had these numbers. He said, and then I got this other email and the numbers are gone, pertaining to the school system retirement employee, their health insurance stuff and making a change. That was kind of the first deal that we really kind of jumped out there on.
Well, that's interesting. You know, I have all of the shows archived. And honestly, I haven't. Whoops. I guess we could go way down. All right, hold on a second. I got to put this up there. Hold on. Let me get over here. So I've got to. Let me do this here. Oh. Let me add this in real quick. And while people are still voting a little bit, we'll take a quick look. Let's see. QuickTime Player. There we go.
Was this a YouTube comment or something?
No. This is show number 1.
Oh, okay.
This is show number 1. But I'll fast forward through there. Look, we had like a 5-second countdown maybe. Let's see. Hold on. Here we go.
Oh, we had some Van Halen going. I know that got blocked.
You there? Wow, how
I'm
far
there,
along
I'm
we come.
here.
Look, we have no lights on, basically. Then the software has come a long way, too, obviously. Let's go through there. Look, we did have some comments, though. Our wives were commenting. Hey, there's Rusty. He was commenting. Let's see. Wow.
Barry Butler, it was a cadre of cockroaches.
Yes, it was. Hey, I was promoting the Bossier Watch at Proton Mail there, too. Heath Harvey commented as well. So, see, even on our first show, we did have a few comments. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Anyway, so maybe I don't know. It was the show numbers were we didn't have our show numbering system down at that point, but
right.
You know that one show that I got in the notes, was Shane talking about the insurance stuff, and then the very next, immediately, the Cypress District taking debt without voter approval, and all kinds of crap there. Everybody, a lot of y'all may not remember. All of you, if you pay taxes in Bossier, as you know, the Cypress District, you're paying for all that crap out there. And
that's kind of scary. Looky here.
We went there.
and that particular show, the software and connections crashed, and so we had to break that show up into 4 parts, if you remember.
Yep.
So that was always fun. There's my little intro making fun of the Cypress District again. There's where they made me put my camera way over here because of the COVID thing, because, they were pissed off at me.
Now, yeah, and the Cypress District taking debt without voter approval. Remember, we had a detailed show regarding all of that.
Right.
And then the next show, we had the JB recall, and Dawn Thomas came on. Remember, talking about all that. That was a big hot thing back during the first of the year.
Yeah, I'm like going down nostalgia lane here.
Yeah.
Yep, there's Dawn, but I wanted to show you. Look, there's our good friend David Womack. He's been watching since at least show number 2. That's awesome, David.
David Jones finally joined in tonight. Hello,
Yeah.
David Jones.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you as well, David, or almost New Year.
Yeah, and so we kept going down the more Cypress District stuff. The $1 million event center, and even Philip Rogers. Remember during that time, Philip Rogers was chiming in, and that.
Yeah, I think I put out a standalone Bossier Watch video on the event center too, and explained how we ended up with $1 million event center out there. Hint for those of you listening and watching, we really don't have $1 million event center, but that's what it was supposed to be. So yeah, nostalgia lane here. What else?
Now remember Bossier Parish Library in one of the shows. Remember the big hot topic was the Bossier Parish Library system. We had a lady from she was originally from Halton, lived in Bossier Parish, but moved over. I guess life circumstances took her to Doylean. I don't remember exactly, but as I recall in the notes, she had been on the library board for like almost 38 years, and the police jury straight up like kicked her butt to the curb. And what did they do? They went and appointed themselves to replace her and another person that resigned as a result of that, not replacing her or not putting her back in.
I had forgotten about that, and that reminds me we kind of need to dig back into some of that library stuff.
Well, I think they're probably turning dirt down there in Bossier City now, in which, remember, we kind of were thinking that was what it was a lot about, was, maybe being in control of all that money for that construction project right there by City Hall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, I mean, what else? We've had so much stuff happen in the last year. I'm glad that you went through some of this.
Well, remember you had the Caddo assistant district attorney that was suspected of being under the influence. They refused a drug or alcohol test, but acknowledged, and I think it was on video, that they were taking a medication that may have caused them to be impaired. And at the same time, you had Lynn Lawrence, a Bossier Parish ADA, or no, let me back up. I said that wrong.
Yeah.
You had a Bossier attorney who is best friends with the district attorney, had a wreck. He's not a district attorney, had a wreck in a district attorney vehicle, and kind of don't really know everything that did happen with that. But
yeah, that kind of got swept somewhat under the rug.
But if I recall the story correctly, this Caddo ADA that was suspected to be under the influence was shopped out to Bossier to investigate that and determine whether or not there should be anything happen. Nothing happened. And then when the Lynn Lawrence thing came along, that was shopped out to Caddo to investigate, to determine whether something should happen. And I don't know what happened exactly, to be honest. I think that maybe I think Lynn Lawrence just said failure to maintain control or some, stupid little charge like that or something or another. But basically, I think the storyline was that it was a wag the dog thing. You pat my back, I pat yours. The question never was resolved, was why was Lynn Lawrence, who was not a part of the Bossier Parish DA's office, driving a DA vehicle to have that wreck in the first place?
Yeah, all these questions that never really got answered. And I just want to give you an update. The King has now definitely taken the lead. King David.
He has taken the lead.
King David is now in the lead.
See, I'm surprised about that. We're going to have, when we get down in the notes here, we may have to amend people's votes here a little bit with the information, because when they hear it, gas tax rumor, I just can't believe that that's not a strong one right there. But
yeah, and look, hey, we do have a couple of votes for Phyllis, by the way.
Holy crap! I'd never thought.
Or at least one for Phyllis. Now, I would say that's Cockroach of the Year in the good sense because she at least does try to keep the city council in line.
That's right. I mean, I commend her. She needs a pay raise.
Yes, she does.
They need to give her one of those cush jobs like over there over the Civic Center or something.
Yeah, you know what? And as a matter of fact, let's play the gas tax video. How about that? I haven't played that in forever. All right, so folks, as you're contemplating your vote, let me go down memory lane with Doug Rimmer, police jury member of the Bossier Republican Executive Committee. Here, well, let's see. Here we go. And, of course, I don't have the video queued up. That's not nice.
Well, anyway.
Okay, well, anyway.
So the next show, we had the State Central Committee races and the PEC races, and all that was coming on. And that's where, I mean, we're getting into how the Cockroach, of the year, of the week, how that all came to be. And when you get into the cohorts and all that. But Rex, show 7, and this was a somber thing, and a lot of people may not remember this. Some of you were watching. And I mean, we were just getting started.
Right.
But show 7, we interviewed Luke Letlow. And
yes, we did.
Yeah, Luke, I've been friends with Luke, I mean, a long time. And Luke came on the show. Luke was running for Congress over there, in that Monroe district over there. And ultimately he won. But the thing was, a lot of you may not recall, but he came on our show and knew there wasn't a lot of people, over here that watch our show that was in his district that could vote for him. But, it was still a fun thing to do and talk to Luke. Luke's easygoing guy. He has done a lot when he worked for Governor Jindal. He did a lot for Bossier Parish. A lot of things that a lot of people will never know. And Luke ended up, passing, like I think it was like a week or two. He contracted COVID, is what was said. They ended up shipping him from over there, from Start, Louisiana, which is his hometown, to LSU in Shreveport, and he died in LSU Shreveport.
Yeah, sad deal, really sad.
About a week or two, I think it was a week. For some reason, a week sticks in my head, a week after doing our show.
Yeah, it wasn't too long after that, a few weeks at the most. And then his wife was she appointed or seated to take his place and then outright won the election? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, she wasn't appointed, but there was a special election, and she ran for the seat. And I mean, I don't know who would have believed that anybody could beat her running for his seat after that. But she ran, she won, and everybody knew that was going to happen. So anyway, the next show we had the RSCC races and the outcomes of that. And
while you're mentioning the RSCC races or RSSC, anyway, it's getting late. I did find the Rimmer video, so let's play it now. You ready?
Oh yeah, roll with it.
Will Doug Rimmer consider increasing our gas taxes?
Well, I'll consider it. I think that's one of the things that we should have done back in the 80s when the last time they passed it. They should have indexed it to inflation or something. But the bottom line is we've been robbing Peter to pay Paul, and Peter's broke.
They have also mentioned a 23-cent a gallon gas tax increase. You think that's way out of line?
I don't think it's way out of line. It's high. When it goes down 20 cents, if that's when we could do the tax. But we're going to look at all.
Go.
Now, actually, the video I wanted to show was you with your, because I made you stick your name in the hat to
Again,
run.
I might add.
Twisted your arm a little bit. Anyway, but you had this thing you enunciated. You was like, these fake liberal Republicans.
I'd have to dig to find that video, but yeah, I'm sure I've got it somewhere.
Now, I would say in the notes, I've got it lined out. It goes in chronological order. But anyway, I would argue that is what spawned us and the cockroach movement. For everybody watching, if you wondered.
I would think you are correct with that.
So in show 8, we featured
cohorts. And in the cohorts, that was when we reflected on Doug Rimmer sending the emails. He had won and become the chairman, thanks to, Tahoe Tommy and Richard Ray and Allie Feaster Smith and crew. Doug Rimmer became the chairman of the Bossier Peck. And, he ends up sending this nasty email to Ann Price and talking about cohorts and stuff. And it was kind of ugly and threats. I think and I think it was ended up being in show 9. But, the night of the election, show 9, I think is when it was, is that was when cockroaches came to be. That was what brought it forward. I don't know if you can pull show 9 at the 5:50 mark.
Oh, let's see. Hold on. Show 9 at the 5:50 mark. That was December the 7th.
I think so.
All right. Yeah. Give me a second here. I think I can do that relatively easy. Let's see. Let me switch screens again here. Hold on. All right. Where's the mark again?
5:50.
5:50. There's the bug mobile. All right. Oh, there I am playing the Rimmer video. 5:50. Here we go. Somewhere in there. I'm gonna start us right there. How about that?
Yep. Chance to weigh in on that issue.
Well, maybe with your new Zapmobile, I don't think that's the most fuel efficient thing. So that could cut into your business profits once, when they want to raise the gas tax 23 cents a gallon, or at least they don't have any problem with raising the gas tax 23 cents a gallon.
Well, man, I just don't know what to say. Some people don't like us pointing out things that are going on. They don't like being pointed out on obvious statements like that. In fact, I think Ann Price, we mentioned that in the last show about threats that were made to her regarding the legislative auditor, and that didn't actually turn out to be accurate, and we pointed that out.
Yes.
And
all right, you want me to fast forward up? Let's see.
Yeah, I probably missed it. 9:37 mark, I think.
All right, folks, and we're just going down memory lane here. We're just showing you the words of our local elected benevolent overlords.
Benevolent overlords.
Wait a minute, we got to start a list. Contrarians.
Yes.
Cohorts.
And
we have a new label.
Yes, we do. Here it is. So this is what Doug Rimmer posted on Allie Feaster Smith, apparently during Saturday's election and all that, before the returns were completely in. And notice, let's see here, now, where are we at? Oh, now we're not only cohorts, we're cockroaches. And so now, folks, the history of the cockroaches and the cohorts, and did they add in contrarians? I'm trying to remember.
I don't know that it did in that show, but in that same show, we also begged the question of why do churches need to be involved in politics?
Oh, we were on the church kick. Huh?
We did. We got on the church kick, and I don't remember if we specifically named First Church or if we pointed out First Church, but that was who we were talking about because it was obviously a coordinated effort by a lot of folks within the First Church that were, trying to gain control of, politics in Bossier.
Yeah.
And
let's take a quick listen.
I want to ask a question to our audience. Why do churches need to be involved in politics? And why are they trying to control politics locally?
Very good question. Let's see if I can get this on the screen.
So you can stop it.
Yeah.
I mean, because we go on about it forever, but it's an interesting thing that here, show 9, we're pointing out that, hey, there's a problem. You got a church that's trying to be political and then
months later, all of a sudden, what happens to that church that's trying to take over politics and be in control?
Yeah.
They had a lot of problems.
Yeah. And got to say, they also contributed to some of the highest viewer numbers we have anytime we mention them.
That's right. Just right now.
Which means people are interested in what's going on at First Church. So yeah, those were the early mentions of the church situation. Let's put it that way.
That's right. And then in show 11, Jason Wayne made a amazing plug to us. You know, he was kind of a little bit of a sensation. He had some Facebook posts that moved a lot of people, and you know, he had some kind words to say about us. I mean, I think he kind of got a bum rapped on being labeled as being something other than what he really was. You know,
look, let me tell you something. The dude legit had a Facebook post with 1 million views.
Yeah,
I saw the post. Now, Facebook then put him in Facebook jail like 40 million times, finally wiped his account, which took that away. But I've got a screenshot of it somewhere. The dude legit had a Facebook video with over 1 million views from a couple of years ago. So that's actually saying something.
Yeah, I mean, so he had some kind comments, and I don't know if that's the video you got pulled up or if you even want to play that.
I think so. Let's see. Here we go. Yeah, here we go. Let's see. Yep, there we go. All right, so we're going to play about 2 minutes of this video, folks, so just have a listen.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? I want to talk about a couple things real quick. First off, if you live in Bossier Parish, go check out Duke Lowry and Rex Moncrief. They got a little show on Facebook that they've been running called Bossier Watch. Go check it out. Look it up, Bossier Watch. They just discuss different topics, different politics, and policies, procedures right here in Bossier Parish that are worth tuning into. If you're someone that's trying to get plugged in and just kind of learn a little more about what's going on and listen to a couple guys that are tuned in and you know, have some insight, some knowledge of local things, these are two guys that's worth watching. Check it out.
Hey, I'll say this. Had a meeting with him, Mr. Cheatham. Dennis Bamberg was there. Dodie Horton was there. A couple other people were there too. So, you know, at that point in time, he had enough influence, let's say, to put together some meetings. As a matter of fact, that's where Mr. Cheatham and I kind of had a little coming to Jesus meeting, friendly, and had a better understanding of each other.
That's an interesting story. Now, yeah. Now in the next show, show 12, that's when, you know, that show Luke had passed, and we announced that. Right. But in that show also, we talked about MJ voted for the Pakistani transgender studies. You remember that?
Yeah. I'm going to say that pretty much violates every tenet of modern Christianity. I would say that reality is Jesus probably wouldn't care. But
it's good for Barksdale.
But it's good for Barksdale.
But it's good for Barksdale.
Yeah.
And then show 13. I mean, this was one of your favorites.
The Viking guy. I mean, his costume was just awesome when they stormed the Capitol with the police literally opening the doors in many cases. We won't get into that whole ordeal because that's still ongoing. Did you know that I think they sentenced him like, what was it, 4 years, 6 years or something like that?
Yeah, no, Rex. But if you heard the latest on all that. No. So the latest is like there is a lot of evidence that's showing that there were government officials that were embedded in all the groups promoting the storming of the Capitol.
I would not doubt that at all.
It was actually the 3-letter agencies and some of them other folks. They were all embedded, pushing for all that to happen. That's what the word on the street is.
I would not doubt that at all. Yeah, Ryan Haygood has a good comment. MJ is a shapeshifter with a silvery tongue.
And then show 14, you know, I mean, everybody like the Republican Party for not backing Trump and doing everything. You know, the Patriot movement was blowing strong. We did an interview with that Katie Medina, who is the leader of the Patriot movement.
Yeah.
And then in show 16, you know, I would argue one of the issues and series that gained a lot of attention and got a lot of people tuned up. That was the first time we kind of went there. Plain dealing.
Oh yeah, we got a ridiculous number of views from the plain dealing folks.
I mean, I
and
think
it was ongoing week after week there for a little while.
I think we had the majority of plain dealing. I mean, I'm telling you, like the majority of plain dealing was tuned in watching the shows. Them freaking people care about their town up there.
Yes, sir, they do. And hey, it's a good thing. I mean, that city or town council meeting that you and I went to, I mean, they had a heck of a turnout, and they were very, very passionate about their town and what was going on.
You daggone right they are. But that was the first show that we kind of went to plain dealing, and I've got in one of the videos down below the actual the high point of the plain dealing meetings. But in that show 16, you remember the Bill Cassidy T-shirt. Remember that?
Bill Cassidy T-shirt with the Gaddy. Refresh my memory on that one.
Oh, you don't remember us talking about? Remember when Bill Cassidy, everybody was wanting to recall Bill Cassidy?
Oh, yeah, everybody was on,
and
jump on the
somebody got
Bill
mad
Cassidy
because
thing.
we were making the connection about First Church and Bill Cassidy.
Right,
remember that?
Right.
And we made the point that, look, look, there had to be a majority of us voted for Bill Cassidy. He's our freaking U.S. Senator. So, I got the T-shirt, literally, and I wore it during the show.
Right.
So then we had show 17. And in show 17, none other than Doug Rimmer made headlines again.
Oh, yeah.
But this time it was because, the Bossier Parish Republican Executive Committee was voted to censure, Bill Cassidy. And the damn thing about it was Doug Rimmer took all the credit for it.
Hey, he's quite the politician.
And he was kind of opposed to it. And this freaking guy, but then he goes out there on his own Facebook page and he's going to take credit for it.
Well, of course. I mean, that's what politicians do, especially ones that are quasi-conservative Republicans in name only or whatever term you want to use.
Yeah, and then so a lot of y'all will remember, you may or may, I know you will remember the event, who could forget, but in show 18 we covered snow apocalypse.
Yes, we did.
And, remember Tahoe Tommy ghosting the mayoral forum, I think it was with the chamber. Lisa Johnson, you still there? Or have you already went to bed? And, at that time, Tommy was getting good counsel, good PR counsel. And he came back, when somebody, at the first notion that somebody criticized him for not attending the mayoral forum, he came back with a post that showed him handing bottled water out in areas where the water wasn't still or wasn't functioning due to snow apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
And he had some really good PR. Now, I point that out to, again, I mean, and there's another, in the notes here, there's another point. At one point, he was having some good responses to negative PR and good responses to things, but then it changed.
That's in show 18.
Yep, show 18 at 16:04 mark.
All right, let's see.
And the charge was Tahoe Tommy was ghosting mayoral forums.
Okay, let's see if I can get back over here. All right, here we go.
And do it on social media. And look, I'm as critical as anybody about the Bossier Republican PAC. But I agree with y'all. I think that was the right call that, being, the day after the weekend of the polar vortex, I think that was the right call that, right now, like you said, still got boil orders in place and all sorts of things. And so people need to be focused more on that necessarily than they do a debate right now. So I think y'all made the right call on that.
Yeah, I think so. And besides, this is
Well,
one
that
of those
time mark
days
is wrong.
Yep, that was
Yeah.
16 something.
Well, we were talking about the PEC. We had previously scheduled a debate with all of the councilmen and mayor candidates, and we canceled it due to we were just people still didn't have water, and it just wasn't right. Could we have done it? Yeah, we probably could have, but it was best to just call it off, and that's what we did.
Yeah.
Ryan Haygood says 1,400 hours of missing footage. Ray Epps, the guy in the TV tower, the guy in the hoodie rolling up fences. Yeah, he is talking about the government employees that were plugged into the different groups of the January 6th promoting, the insurrection, whatever you want to call it, January 6th, were promoting all that stuff. He's right. And I've seen the footage, the video footage of what he's talking about, and it's legit.
Yeah. Well, let me just say this. If that was an insurrection, I'm never calling those guys if Texas decides to secede from the Union again. We do not want the guys from the January the 6th, Washington, D.C. there event helping any insurrection because they suck.
They suck. That was pretty damn weak. You're right. So,
all right. Anyway,
in show 19, do you remember election integrity? And in show 19, at the 6:25 mark, we actually showed people. So, like, if you want to commit election fraud, we showed you how to do it.
Oh, really?
Did you know that? Did you know we showed people how to commit election fraud?
I had actually forgotten about that now that you mention it. So.
Look, we did some amazing things during this year. Now, I don't know that we were actually encouraging people to commit election fraud. That was not what we were doing. But what we were trying to do was show, could it or could it not be done in one of the ways that was being said it was being done.
Oh, that's where you simulated kind of, sort of, but not really stuffed a ballot.
Yeah, that was it. Stuffing a ballot. There was all this different election stuff. I mean, look, you and I differ a little bit.
Right.
I still think the election was stolen. Ain't nothing going to change my mind. We can argue, we can debate, whatever. I think the election was stolen. Trump was screwed. And okay. I don't care. Everybody can say I got a tinfoil hat. Y'all can say I'm a loon. You can say I'm a freak. You can say whatever, Rex. You can bash me. I'll go ahead and I'll stop talking when I get finished. You can take 5, 10, however long you want to bash me and say I'm an idiot. That's fine. I don't care. All y'all can say I'm batshit crazy. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to subscribe to this idea that a 10-year presidential term, 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's saying the Constitution says you can have 2 terms, but there is a provision that allows you to have 2 additional years. And note, everybody, Let's Go Brandon's only had 1 year so far. I think things will get hotter once we get to the 2-year mark. Then maybe, maybe not. Conspiracy theory, yeah, Ron Haygood. Hey, I know you're with me, bro. Anyway, but one of the things was people said that you could stuff ballots, and there was a way. There was supposedly this video, secret video, it may have been Project Veritas, that recorded this Democrat guy talking about how they had stuffed all these ballots. Well, it just so happened from the election that I had a mail ballot that I didn't use left over. I mean, I wasn't going to just throw it in the trash. Let's do something with it. Let's try to utilize it. Let's make something, educational of it. So we did this video.
Right. Yeah, here we go. So, tell us, Duke, kind of what are you doing here?
Looks like a mail ballot right there. It looked like they signed their name X on all the spots. And wait a minute, that's a hairdryer.
Wait, what are you doing with a hairdryer? Are you trying to style it, or what are you trying to do?
Well, it ain't my hairdryer. I ain't got no hair. What do I need a hairdryer for?
That's keep your head warm.
I ain't got no hair.
Okay.
But apparently that ballot right there is getting really hot. Wait a minute.
Apparently. We were such amateurs.
I don't know if you were praising Jesus or what you were doing. Please, Jesus, let this thing open. I think your audio had cut out on you.
Yeah, maybe so. But
Anyway.
what I was trying to do was
The
heat the
courthouse
glue up.
would tear
Right.
that off to say that, hey, and then that's the voter, and then they would take that ballot,
Yes, folks, this is how you
that
violate both
envelope
state
with the
and
ballot
federal law
inside, and
on a
drop it
public
in the
video.
box of the counted vote. That's
All right.
how it would go.
Now, we also were missing audio there for about 30 seconds. So real quickly, just summarize the entire process that you're doing right now.
So what we're doing here is we are taking with the hairdryer and we are heating up the glue on the ballot, and we're trying to gain access to the
To the ballot. All right, so let's go through. I want
fake news and the ballots can't be stuffed or something like that can't happen. Merry Christmas. You just seen it done.
to. There you go.
Yeah, I have to work on the envelope.
Full disclosure,
Well, anyway.
you did not mail that ballot in.
That's right. Didn't mail that ballot in. But that was show 19. If you want to go back and watch the whole video of it from beginning to end, actually opening a sealed ballot and then putting another ballot in and sealing it back up, you can watch that video, show 19.
All right. Now we gotta pause right there for a second, because we pretty much looks like we have all the votes that we're going to get, or all the people that are willing to vote on our Cockroach of the Year. And it looks like King David has won.
Well, I don't know that I want to know statistically, but was it by a wide margin, or was there a close second?
Well, let's see. One for Rimmer, I didn't write these down, so I'm just scanning them. This is super scientific. One for Rimmer, one for Jerkovich, one for King David. All right, there's another one for Rimmer. Point of order, Phyllis, so that's another King David. Another King David. Another King David. Another King David. There's a vote for Phyllis. Well, let's see. Tim changed his vote. But anyway, Barry Butler voted for Bossier Watch's Cockroach of the Year. That would be interesting. And Laura Rexford voted for Ryan Haygood. All right, so anyway, King David won by a pretty wide margin. He had 5 votes that I count.
Okay. I would have thought there would have been a few more than that.
Well,
anyway.
you got to remember that whole thing that we talked about earlier, the whole whistleblower worried about things and all that. Some people just don't want it out there publicly.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of amazing. So right now at this moment, just on Facebook, I see 50 people watching, and you're telling me that we've only got 5 people that voted
for King David. There were several, so about 10 people.
Yeah, so come on now. You guys can step it up a little bit. You can't be that scared. I mean, dadgum. I mean, look, if we can step out here and talk about the things that we talk about, like, for instance, jumping through these shows, Plain Dealing, April 13th, Scab Eaters. The guy in Plain Dealing. Remember that?
Yeah, the Scab Eaters quote. Well, those people in Plain Dealing were mad that we put the Scab Eaters quote in there.
Woo, they did
You
not
remember
like that? Yeah, and then show 29 through 31, Tammy Murray was all up on us. She was wound up tight because we were talking about her.
Yeah, as a matter. But she never would come on the show. So, oh well, Tammy.
Now again, show 32, we were talking about the Trump of Bossier City. Remember, Tommy was meeting with the governor and Jimmy Davis Bridge and all that. He was that was good PR. He was getting good advice during that time.
Yeah, he was.
Yep. And then show 33, we had wildlife and fisheries bill, for the funding increases on hunting and fishing licenses. And then show 34, we had, John Schroeder, the Treasury Secretary on.
Right.
I think we might have even talked about bonds a little bit when he came on.
Yeah, I think we may have. I pulled one of the quotes in the intro from that same show. Kaylee Larkin also commented, my household voted King David. So I don't think there's any way he's going to overcome that. So why don't we go ahead and let's announce our Cockroach of the Year. and make it official. If we wait till we go through all these shows, it will be the new year.
Oh, come on. All right. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I got to show off my new graphics.
I mean, we're not Bossier now. We're not trying to make sure the outcome is one way.
Yeah, but again, I want to show off my graphics here. Hold on. All right, so it's going to...
Okay.
It's going
You
to
almost
take me
act
a
like
second.
you knew how it was going to turn out.
I was pretty confident in how it was probably going to go. So, we'll make it official now. Cockroach of the Year is King David, none other than City Councilman King David Montgomery, whose favorite phrase is "point of order, Phyllis," among a whole lot of other things.
Now, okay, but we're not done, Rex, and to everybody watching, you're not done either. You may have voted that it was King David, but what you haven't declared, is it a good cockroach or is it a bad cockroach?
Yeah, so let us know in the comments real quick. Is he a Cockroach of the Year on the good side, or because of the really stupid, dumb things he's done, which arguably he has outmaneuvered Tommy Chandler at every turn?
Now, since everybody has chosen to make King David the Cockroach of the Year, I think you need to go to show 46, and I think it would be appropriate. I done marked all the times, so I'm gonna pick them out and we'll highlight them.
Okay, let me get to show 46 here. Give me just a second.
I cannot believe. So, boy.
All right, I just about got it ready here. Okay, so let me.
Mandy Maddox says, "Aren't all cockroaches bad?" Mandy, no, they are not all bad.
Yeah, there are instances where it could be positive.
It is a term of endearment for some. In fact, you've got to understand, Rex and I both hold the titles of cockroaches, along with Ann Price, Mike Collier, Barry Butler, Rusty Lombardino, a bunch of us. We were all deemed cockroaches, and I would like to think that, in
we're not all bad.
Way,
Yeah, we're not all bad.
All bad.
Although some might argue that point. Okay, so I've got this is show 46, is that correct?
Yes, roll with it.
All right. So
1224.
1224. Let me get there real quick. 12. We'll start at 1220 mark. Here we go. This issue, but nobody did, so here we go with Mayor Tommy Chandler.
You may, Mayor. Go ahead.
Okay. Can I ask what the reason behind this is?
Yeah, we have a compliance issue with the charter.
And that is?
We're investigating.
This is Dave and Tommy going back and forth.
So y'all gonna hold back the city again?
Mr. Chandler, I don't think you are one to sit here and talk about holding the city back.
I'm glad you said that.
I'm glad you said it as well.
Now, I got to pause for a second because I know you are, but what am I? I know you are, but what am I?
I think that's pretty much what you said. Keep rolling.
All right, here we go. All I can see is Pee Wee Herman's movie, I know you are, but what am I? I know you are, but what am I?
Mr. Chandler. Mr. Chandler. I mean,
holding back the city. The new mayor who
he the
beat
mayor?
the old mayor is holding back the city.
Is he the mayor or is he Mr. Chandler?
Look, folks, that's why I call them all by the first name. Hey, I'm consistent when I talk about
is the one saying, "Hey, let's put this off till the next meeting," and he's saying, "Chandler's holding back the city."
Yeah, I know. This is hilarious. All right. Notice we were both still pretty much on Tommy's, rooting for Tommy at that point.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, so we moved on. Show 48. I think the highlight there, everybody was raiding all the toilet paper at all the grocery stores. Show 49, Raymond Cruz, he busts out on the Department of Health with Krispy Kremes. A lot of folks may not remember that.
Let's see if I can pull that one up real quick. Let's see, what mark is that? The
114.49.
Let's see. So it's got to be somewhere right in here.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right, that's a good one. And I do have one more question.
Even Bagley.
Hold on.
Yeah, you got to go back a little bit. I must have got it wrong.
Let's see. Let's start right here.
But so
how far are we to the 240?
So what I'm saying is,
we got about 6 minutes. Shall we fast forward?
Jump to the 243 mark.
Okay, here we go.
This is before we got really good at timing videos too.
All right, folks.
Or better.
243 mark as Duke continues to eat his Krispy Kreme bites.
I just can't
lose
help myself.
Is a brother, sister, daughter, parent, and that is devastating a family.
Anyway,
and that's why I'm advocating for health measures that are known to work. Let me ask you one last question. Is it true that LDH partners with McDonald's and Krispy Kreme to deploy the experimental vaccine?
That's you say so.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Bam. Drop the mic.
That's a good one. And I do have one more question.
That was good. That was good.
You know, that guy kind of resembles Anthony Weiner.
Blockhead. That's what they call him down there. They call that guy Blockhead, but he does look like Anthony Weiner.
Yeah.
Show 51, we had the zipper method.
Oh, yes. We had a nice little chat about the zipper method, didn't we?
We talked about Wade Rich and Public Works, and King David had killed that.
Right.
So, fittingly. Show 51, $1 million event center. MJ was inside of it. We got to see it for the first time. Yeah. And especially Show 51. You got to go to Show 51 at the 1832 mark.
Oh, yes. I think we certainly do here.
That was classic. Is one of the high points of Bossier Watch. If you guys wasn't watching Show 51 at 1832 mark, you missed something of importance right here. In fact, it became and is still to this day the current state of things in Bossier City politics.
All right, let's see. That one was 824, so it'd be the one after 824. See, these I don't have renamed yet, folks. So y'all are getting, well, you can't see it on the screen, kind of an inside look. I've got to go through our videos. So I think it was the one on 831. All right, what's the timestamp?
1832.
All right, let's see. Oh, I can't find it.
Y'all are going to love this one.
Well, I gotta find it first, Duke. Hold on.
Some watching our show will appreciate it more than others.
Yeah.
Yep. There's the zipper method. That's the show. Interesting.
Okay, so it'll be the show after the zipper method, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So instead of 831, we got to go up here. Was it the 9th of September, the 7th show?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, here we go. I found it. All right, here we go, folks.
For this, I think we might ought to. I mean, this is like secret spy stuff, right?
Fire in the hole. Here we go. And by the way, they're on horseback.
The last ride of the Three Amigos.
Well, look, there's the mayor and Chris and Shane Cheatham.
I wish I'd have had time to put the head tracking software and done that.
So Shane's trying for the first drink.
Shane's looking a little haggard there.
He's got a few extra gray hairs.
Chris,
Chris looks about the same.
I'd argue that's still how Chris is right now.
Oh, look, there's the mayor. I can't tell if that's water or Kool-Aid, though. It might be Kool-Aid.
It might be. That new fangled clear Kool-Aid. It allows you to go bi-directional.
One of my favorite movies, anyway.
Infamous.
And, of course, the appropriate lip balm for the photo ops.
Lip balm?
So,
that was pretty good.
That was freaking awesome. And then, I mean, it was like right there, all fast. The two shows back to back. I mean, we had the best two things that happened within the year. I hate to say the best two things that happened within the year, but the very next show was Zamboni Gate.
Oh, really? Let's see. That was show 53. All right, so I got to go one more, 9-7.
Who could forget Zamboni Gate? I think that would have been the high point of the Cockroach of the Year was Zamboni Gate, because everybody was blaming him, but as it would turn out, it may not have been him.
Might not have been. All right, let's see. I got to see if I'm on the... What? Is this the one? Hold on. I want to play it right here and see what they're
This action.
Thank you.
Is this where he does his famous point of order?
Thank you. Thank you.
You're a city attorney now, Judge.
Sir, Mr. Marshall.
I'll be happy to leave.
Marshall. That was Marshall. Not Phyllis, but Marshall.
All right, Phyllis,
We have a motion by Mr. Montgomery.
Go ahead, Amanda, come on up, please.
Sorry.
That's all right.
There's gonna be a time when I'm gonna run that son of a bitch over with a Zamboni.
I'd
first like to thank Mayor
Zamboni Gate.
I think if you kept playing.
Yeah, let me see. Oh, okay, so I did do the brother here. All right, here we go.
There'll be a time when I'm gonna run that son of a bitch over with a Zamboni.
You're about to be killed by a Zamboni, or you're gonna die in 5 minutes.
Truth is, we really don't know who's driving there.
That might be the funniest one we've come up with yet.
I think that is the best. I think so.
I even have a standalone copy of that somewhere.
Anyway, the year ran on. Zamboni Gate went on. The city attorney, I think he took one for the team, threw himself under the bus, or under the Zamboni, or proverbial Zamboni. Who knows? We'll never know. Was it actually him or was it not? I mean, he says it was, so I guess we have to take that at face value that it was him. Manshak shows up, show 55, says, we've got an endless amount of need for, engineering stuff. And he said that while acknowledging that their contract was going to expire in October. It's still expired as we speak right now, from what I understand. I don't think that it's been renewed. We started covering the city charter at that time. Show 56, First Bossier. That's when we got on the first church stuff and the church massacre. First church massacre.
Yeah.
Show 58, we started having more, remember the documents from First Church pouring in?
Oh, yeah. We were running 150, 200 simultaneous viewers at a time. It was insanity.
Yep. And then show 59, we started getting the police stuff with Shane McWilliams and all that. And, we got the internal investigation versus the criminal investigation in the letters of the appointment, of the temporary police chief. We started getting all those documents. Show 61, you had the school board. Remember all that, and no courage to do anything on the mask mandate stuff?
Yeah. Absolutely.
That was happening. Show 62 was a bright spot right there. I think that is a high point, especially considering our Cockroach of the Year at the 5129 mark. You got to go there. Since everybody voted for the Cockroach of the Year, you got to go there.
All right, so my challenge is that was show 53. Because I don't have the shows labeled with the numbers, I got to try to jump ahead.
I got you. That and in that one also, that was the show where we let everybody know that Tommy Chandler was in Vegas, and a lot of people didn't know that. But I don't know that it was so much that he was in Vegas, but it was who he was with and what was happening while he was in Vegas. I mean, the new mayor of Bossier City is in Vegas while the first budget of his administration was being voted on by the city council. And, oh, by the way, he was there with multiple members of the Bossier City Civil Service Board. And you say, well, why is that important? Well, if you know anything about the police chief situation in Bossier, that would be why you would think that was important.
Yeah. All right. Let me play this video real quick here. Give me a second to see if I'm on the right one. So just a second here.
Competitive bidding process is not absolutely believe in a competitive bidding process, regardless of whether you're going to pick the same person or not.
51-29. Is that when the colonel was talking?
It was, yes, and that was where we got the point of order.
Okay. Hold on just a second. I'm going to flip us over. Bear with me, folks.
Ashley Lee Bullock reminds me of the Vegas Comfort
Professionals.
Yeah. Boy, she doesn't forget anything. Holy crap.
I know. Here we go.
Because I do believe pretty strongly in competing almost all contracts. But I went to Mr. Sowdow's article, and what I'd like to do is throw out a few of the facts.
And this is the point where David's face starts turning red.
Sort of discussion about those kind of things. He talked briefly about, he quoted a $487 million total debt for Bossier City. I don't know if that's true or not. He didn't source that part of the article, but he did say that we have a 6,820.
Point of order. We're now discussing.
We can't discuss debt of the city of Bossier. Quack. Blood pressure begins to rise. Okay, here we go.
Point of order inbound.
Talking about something other than the refinancing of these bonds.
I will argue that.
Pardon me, sir. I have the floor.
Wait a minute. Pardon me. Instead of hit a pause. Okay.
So there's one of the infamous point of order quotes.
Point of order it was. And then in show 64, I mean, to infinity and beyond. Remember that one?
Yes. Let's see if, all right, so that was 10.
Well, I don't have the timestamp in there, so don't jump up there. But in that show, remember, Charles Jacobs said that the cost of not taking action on closing Shed Road down and Walter O. Bigby, and to hesitate, the cost would be to infinity.
Yeah. That's just,
remember that?
Yeah, astronomical. That's right up there with the 8-figure deal.
And then, of course, show 65, Roundabout Morons. Remember us talking about that?
Yeah.
We even made a recommendation during that show that the city of Bossier take the money that somebody was trying to steer the city of Bossier to spend $30 million on a YMCA in North Bossier to, bring the total ball fields in North Bossier to 38 and South Bossier at 2. But we recommended that the city of Bossier take that $30 million and engage Link Coleman to buy that property back from him to encourage development down there.
Yeah.
Hey, and resolve that issue.
Better use of the money.
Yeah. And, the next show, and I didn't write the number down. I don't know how I made that mistake, but the mic drop moment was NTB coming to the mic. Remember that one?
Oh, yes. Yeah, and so got to remember, folks, the city was going to sue NTB, they weren't going to sue them. They called them out and did all of this and called a special meeting, and then there was like no discussion of NTB at the special meeting.
Yeah, and in that show at the 228 mark, King David just completely loses his mind.
Yeah, I'm trying to run up to it, so again, bear with me for just a second. Only because, let's see, again, I hadn't gone back and numbered all the shows. You said at the 228, 2 hour and 28 minute mark?
Correct. Can you believe that? 2 hours and 28 minute mark. Have we beat that tonight so far?
Yes, we have. We're at the 229 mark now.
Well, I guess we're going to have to wrap it up after this one. One more remark from the Cockroach of the Year.
Yeah, give me a second. So, 1026. Yeah, I think this is it here. This is the 3 hour marathon show. All right, 228. Yeah, so there's the NTB, guys. 228 and how many seconds?
40.
Right there. Here we go. Over there, buying. Hold on. Get everything just right technically for the show. Bam, King David. Okay, here we go.
There's a cricket on the back of Ben there.
Oh yeah, we'll get rid of the cricket for a minute.
I don't know. I don't believe. Excuse me.
Excuse me.
Excuse me.
First,
What?
Phyllis interrupts him a couple of
If you'd like
meetings
to
ago.
speak, please come to the mic, and if you could wait.
Oh.
And this gentleman's been hold on, sir.
If you could, please come to the mic.
Mike,
What?
he did say that.
I'm speaking right now. I heard you speaking out in the audience.
Kneel before Zod.
Now wait a minute. Wait, you got to stop it. He says, "I heard you speaking out in the audience." He said, "Could you, if you're going to speak, come to the mic?" And he said,
Yeah,
"I
he
heard
told-
you speaking."
Yeah, he told the guy, come to the mic. I mean, clear as day.
Yeah, he told him. Now listen to what King David says right here.
Okay, here we go.
Pardon?
Ask me what you want me to say. So.
Yeah, I was speaking to. But anyway, if I could
No.
just.
Hold on one second. Sure, go ahead, sir.
Now wait a
This
minute.
is a cluster.
Now, interestingly, that guy comes to the mic and he says, "Well, you called me if I wanted to speak,"
Yeah.
and he's like, "Now, what do you think this guy standing up here right now? Is he going to be in favor or against?"
Let's see. Drum roll, please.
Anyway, now I've lost my train of thought, but I think the fact that we have 2 to 3 years to work with the public, work with the businesses to ensure that there is a transition, that they understand how traffic's going to flow. We're going to take the time to redesign the roundabout to where it facilitates flow of traffic for all the.
Okay. That's like listening to nails grating on the chalkboard. And I don't mind nails grating on the chalkboard.
They're going to take the time to ensure that the public is able to know how traffic is going to be facilitated so long as it's not crossing Shed Road.
Right. And
Anything but crossing Shed Road. We can't have it crossing Shed Road. For some reason, if anybody out there knows why we can't cross Shed Road, why it has to dead end into Old Green Acres place. I mean, the dead end and create another roadblock on Main Road. If anybody knows why, because nobody in Bossier City government can tell you the answer why, that it has to dead end into Green Acres. Nobody knows the answer. They also don't know about the cost. They don't know, and King David especially. Maybe, I think King David actually knows, but he's not telling.
yeah, he's not telling. But, then again, he is the official Cockroach of the Year. So, he doesn't have to tell.
So, what was the consensus for the Cockroach of the Year? Was it good or bad?
Well, I think the consensus as I scroll back up was going to be the vast majority was for bad. The stupid side. Bad to infinity from David Jones. So, yeah, I'm going to pretty much say bad.
I can't argue. It would appear that the consensus is that he is a bad cockroach. But I'm going to throw him a bone and say the last council meetings, he has conducted himself, pretty good.
Yeah,
I
he's
mean,
pretty much kept his mouth shut for the most part.
well, he has. So anyway,
But good for him. We'll see how he does in 2022. Speaking of which, we have a lot of stuff planned in 2022. You kind of, alluded to some of it earlier. We're going to try to attend more meetings and get some more research done. We've got some folks that have offered to volunteer and try to help us out do some of the kind of grunt work that's got to be done, that takes a lot of time. And so we're looking forward to that. We do have some folks that have approached us about sponsoring the show or being a part of the show. That'll help out with some, software costs and different things as well. And maybe some, maybe a new camera or tripod or two or whatever, who knows. But anyway, we're going to see how far we can take this. I think it's been a pretty good year so far overall. We've been able to get a lot of information out to a lot of people.
Yeah, I would totally agree, Rex. And like earlier in the year, you pointed out that everything that we've did to this point with everyone watching, and like right now still we're 2+ hours of over 50 people watching the show, not counting what's on the other media watching, because that number is not included in that number. It's all been, like you said, organic.
Right.
We've not paid for advertising for anything. It's all natural. A lot of media, they advertise, they do things. We've done none of that. And we've built a large following, and you guys, you believe in us. You're watching us, you're supporting us. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. And what we will tell you is that, like we said earlier, we have a lot of things going into 2022. We have a lot of information that we've set on. And if you think 2021 has been a hoot, 2022 is going to be like a rodeo, and you're all going to be on a bucking bull. So you better do your exercises. You better strengthen up, because it's going to be everything you can muster to be able to hold on to this bull in 2022, because we're fixing to let loose on some of it.
Oh, I agree 100%. I'm really excited about it, both from the technical end of it, which is kind of my thing, as well as getting more information and growing the audience. And again, like you said, it's been pretty much 99% organic, which means folks just sharing, tagging, letting other folks know. I mean, we can pretty much put out any video and easy get 1,000 views overnight, no problem. So that just means that a lot of people are paying attention.
Yeah, and David Jones, he makes a comment, and it prompts me to a conversation I had many years ago, and David Jones will appreciate this conversation from many years ago. David Jones says cockroaches don't like the light. That reminds me of a conversation I had with an attorney years ago. It's probably been 20 years ago. An attorney by the name of Henry Walker. And David Jones is like, oh my gosh, you're mentioning my name in the same context with Henry Walker. Henry Walker said to me one time, he said, a lot of people, he said, they're in that dark room, he said, and somebody walks over to the window in that dark room. And, if you ever seen one of them old houses, a lot of people maybe can relate, maybe not. And there's tinfoil like covered all over the windows to block it out because they don't have window shades. And they pull a little bit of that tinfoil out, and that room is just completely black dark, and that little sliver of light shines through into that room. And that little sliver of light, before you know it, it ends up lighting that whole room. Mm-hmm. Everything's lit up. So what I would say is to everybody watching, be ready. I mean, we're trying to light up the room, and be that sliver of light. Help us. I mean, you may be that sliver of light that lights up that whole room.
Yeah, and again, we don't claim to be professional journalists at all. We're amateurs at this. We're injecting our opinion. Once, maybe twice a week, sometimes more than that, we get on our soapboxes, but we do it because there are things that the average, Bossier and Bossier Parish citizen needs to know that, the news doesn't always share. We've got an inside perspective on a lot of this, and hey, we're just trying to keep an eye out on Bossier.
All right, on to 2022.
See you in 2022. Folks, we appreciate everybody watching. Again, if you feel like it, go to BossierWatch.org. There's a donate button for coffee money there. If not, don't worry about it. We're going to keep doing this. We appreciate everybody sticking with us, even on our shows that go over 2.5 hours. We appreciate that. And, hey, we'll look forward to seeing y'all. We're not doing a Bossier Watch Thursday night. We'll look forward to seeing, I don't think so. We'll look forward to seeing y'all next Tuesday. It'll be 2022. Happy New Year, Ashley Lee, and to everybody else out there. We're out of here.
Good night.